Farmington Hills. I would like to call to order our June 9th, 2025 regular City Council meeting. Our meetings always begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and this evening we're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by our friends at Bush's, who in just a moment you're going to hear about their Semi-Centennial Business Award. So if you could please come up and lead us at the pledge. You do it right here at the podium.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You might as well stay up there. So tonight we are recognizing Bush's Fresh Food Market with a Semi-Centennial Business Award to celebrate an incredible milestone. For 50 years, Bush's has been dedicated to serving Metro Detroit, and over the past 25 years, they've established deep roots in the Farmington Hills community. Bush's is a neighborhood grocery store and also such a good neighbor. They show up for this community time and again. Since 2001, Bush's has been a vital partner and supporter of the City of Farmington Hills programs, especially through the Special Services Department, including Heyday, a family-friendly free fall celebration in Heritage Park, which they have been supporting since the inaugural event 24 years ago. Since then, Bush's has continued to support a variety of community events, including helping make major cost savings to the city and helping to make free or low-cost community events possible, some of which, frankly, would not have happened without their support. Each year, they double down on their commitment to the Farmington Hills community, stepping up to support new city programs like Farmington Hills I Do Still, the city's Valentine group vow renewal, and kick off to summer, which you'll hear about a little bit more. It's Thursday night, a celebration of summer recreation this Thursday night at the Hawk. It's impossible to express how much of the city of Farmington Hills appreciates Bush's continual commitment to supporting community programs for individuals of all ages, interests, and abilities. We're also grateful for their other investments in the community. In addition to their wonderful store at Drake and Grand River, Bush's also provides donations to local food banks to address critical needs such as food insecurity and ensure high-quality food is accessible to everyone in our community and beyond. Bush's Fresh Food Market has helped make Farmington Hills and Metro Detroit a healthier, stronger, more connected community. And on behalf of the city of Farmington Hills, thank you for all you do, and congratulations on 50 years of meaningful impact. Here's to many more. And joining us to accept the award tonight are Bush's Fresh Food Market President Bobby Turner, Farmington Hills Store Manager Amanda Hurst, and Frank, I didn't get your last name.
Parker.
Great, and Frank Parker from the store. You're welcome to say a word or two, or you're welcome to just accept the certificate, whichever you prefer.
We got a couple words.
A couple words? That would be great. I think after 50 years, a couple words is okay.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm the store manager. I've been at the store for about 3.5 years. It's been such a privilege to meet this community, have our guests who come in our building every day and be able to find different ways to give back. We are participating in a lot of events with Parks and Rec. This is our first chance participating in the kickoff to summer this Thursday. We're thrilled about that. Frank will be there. He was at the Camp Out event this past weekend. In addition to the Parks and Rec events that we're really excited about, we are very proud to participate a lot with CARES events with donations. We do milk drives twice a year and food fundraisers twice a year, which gives about $16,000 back to the community in food donations and about $6,000 gallons of milk back to the schools. We also, one of the ones that's near and dear to my heart is our participation from Visions Unlimited, who come in our store throughout the school year, and it's a great group of kids who are really helpful to us, and it's really a privilege to watch them grow and learn. So it's just, this is a great community, and I am so glad to be able to be part of it, and 25 years is a long time in this community. I'm excited for 25 more at least. It's exciting.
Well, come on up, and did you want to say a word too, please?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we really appreciate all of you as our community, being in this community 25 years and, family business for 50. And we just, this week, a year ago, was our grand reopening for remodeling our store. And the store's been doing an amazing job. And it's all because of all of you in the community. So thank you.
Thank you very much. For you, and if you wouldn't mind lining up with your certificate, and council would love to do a photo with you. Okay. Oh yeah, that part.
That's important. Where's the camera? Oh, okay.
All right. We've got about 5 more. You might as well. Thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Council members Aldred.
Here.
Olaware.
Here.
Bridges.
Here.
Bruce.
Here.
Dwyer.
Here.
Knoll.
Here.
Marich.
Here.
Thank you.
That then takes us to approval of the regular session agenda. Mr. Bridges, do you have a motion?
I do. Madam Mayor, I move that approve the agenda with the correction to the date of item 18. Recommended approval of a special event permit for First African Methodist Episcopal Church of Farmington Hills, 7th Annual Farmington Area Juneteenth Celebration to be held on June 21st, 2025. And I also move that we approve the entire agenda with this addition, please.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there support? Support. We have motion and support. This is a regular vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay, thank you very much. And we have a series of proclamations, and I know, folks, it's going to feel like a lot, but we only do 1 meeting a month in the summertime, so we're getting double what we would normally have. So we have a proclamation recognizing June 2025 as Great Outdoors Month.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Proclamation Great Outdoors Month. Whereas June has been declared Great Outdoors Month, when all Americans are encouraged to spend time outside being active rather than inside being sedentary. And whereas going outside is a safe and healthy way to engage with family and friends while enjoying the natural resources and beauty that the city of Farmington Hills has to offer. And whereas kids spend an average of 10 hours a day, can you believe it, in front of screens and outdoor activity, and outdoor activity is considered by leading health organizations as a remedy for the adverse effects caused by increasing inactivity. And whereas it is important to provide safe, close-to-home opportunities for people of all races, incomes, and beliefs to access parks, trails, open spaces, and more for daily physical exercise, mental well-being, socializing with friends and family, relaxing and enjoying the great outdoors. And whereas the City of Farmington Hills Special Services Department is committed to offering outdoor recreational opportunities for individuals of all ages, interests, and abilities. And whereas the city takes pride in its programs that bring people together, promote a love of the great outdoors, and encourage a sense of stewardship for the environment. And whereas there are more than 600 acres of parkland in Farmington Hills, which include the Farmington Hills Nature Center, 90 athletic fields, and 6 miles of hiking trails, and a new nature trail opening this week at the Hawk. And whereas the City of Farmington Hills will showcase its recreational programs this week at Kickoff to Summer on Thursday, June 12th at 5 to 8 p.m. at the Hawk to encourage community members to find recreational activities to enjoy this summer and all year round. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Teresa Rich, Mayor of the City of Farmington Hills, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby encourage community members to celebrate our city's natural resources, including our neighborhood parks and woodlands, during Great Outdoors Month, and to spend time enjoying the great outdoors by taking part in the numerous recreational opportunities in Farmington Hills. And this is being presented to Director of Special Services, Director Ellen Schneckl.
As you said, there's a long meeting tonight. I'll keep it very brief and say two things to you. Play outside.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you. Item 3, proclamation recognizing June 2025 as Men's Health Month. Mr. Dwyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Proclamation Men's Health Month, June 2025, Men's Health Week, June 9th through the 15th, 2025. Whereas Men's Health Month is part of an ongoing international effort to educate men, boys, and their families about receiving regular disease prevention screening and living a healthier lifestyle. And whereas nationwide life expectancy for men averages 5 years fewer than that of women, with men experiencing higher rates of health problems such as diabetics, obesity, cancer, and health disease. And whereas Men's Health Month is a time for the public to recognize the mental and physical health needs of men and boys, while encouraging fathers to be role models for their children through preventative health screening, healthy living, and seeking need help. And whereas the growing epidemic of suicide and substance abuse requires special efforts to raise awareness of unrecognized and undiagnosed depression and the mental stress in boys and men. And whereas the centerpiece of Men's Health Month is National Men's Health Week, a special awareness period passed by Congress and signed into law by President Bill Clinton on May 31st, 1994, and officially facilitated yearly by the efforts of the Men's Health Network. And whereas the Farmington Hills residents have convenient access to such of the region's best health care providers right in their own community. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Teresa Rich, Mayor of the City of Farmington Hills, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim June 2025 as Men's Health Month in Farmington Hills and encourage community members to pursue preventative health care practices such as healthy lifestyle, regular exercise, and medical checkups, and to support early detection efforts for themselves and their loved ones. And this will be accepted by Charles Poole of Peace of Mind Wellness. Charles?
Good evening, Mayor, City Manager, City Council members, and distinguished guests. My name is Charles Poole, and my daughter, Natalie Poole, is the founder of Peace of Mind Wellness here in Farmington Hills, where we specialize in mental health and psychiatric care with the focus of helping men to rediscover their strength, not through avoidance or silence, but through deep, compassionate self-exploration. My daughter and I have combined forces with over 50 years of healthcare experience between us to bring what we feel is a unique and transformative experience to our community. My service to the community began in the fire service, where I witnessed the suffering of people on their worst days. Morphing into mental health, I served as the Assistant Director of Nursing at Hawthorne, a state hospital for children between the ages of 5 and 17. I served on a psychiatric unit behind state prison walls, and more recently, in behavioral health, providing care for men and women with alcohol use disorder and drug addiction. What I can tell you from my diverse experience is that the mental health of men in our community is in a state of crisis. Why? Well, my daughter Natalie likes to use this analogy, which I've kind of stolen from her. She says, because too many times we're trying to be Superman when in reality, we're all just Clark Kent. Men are taught to be strong at all cost, never to bend, fold, or break. I learned that early on as a young man in the fire service. In those days, there were no debriefings or follow-ups after we witnessed horrific loss of lives in the fires that we fought. We just sucked it up and we moved on. So we thought. Too many men are suffering in silence without a safe place to go to release the unspeakable trauma they've learned to bury inside. And now it's simply catching up with us, and we're all affected. Yes, as mayors, city managers, council members, and yes, even as clinicians and mental health providers, we must now seek to address these issues. At Peace of Mind Wellness, we're changing the landscape of men's mental health one patient at a time. That's why it's such an honor for me to stand here tonight to accept this Men's Health and Wellness Proclamation on behalf of all of the clinicians, counselors, and even our clients who are doing the courageous work of healing within our community. At Peace of Mind Wellness, we believe that therapy is not about fixing someone. It's about remembering who we are beneath the armor that life has forced us to wear. In closing, there's a quote by Michelangelo that I often use when I talk with my patients. When he was asked how he was able to sculpt the magnificent sculpture of David, do you know what he said? He said it was easy. I simply removed everything that wasn't David. That really resonated deep within me because that's exactly what we do at Peace of Mind Wellness. We chip away every day with our patients at all that isn't them, all that isn't you, all the shame, the trauma, the false identities, and the stories that no longer serve us, until what is left is the solid, whole person that was there all the time. So many men come to us believing that they're broken, but they're not. They're burdened. And that's a burden that we can begin to lift when we provide a place for them to be vulnerable, to express their emotion, and to ask for help without shame. In our practice, we work with everything from depression to anxiety, trauma, substance use, and yes, for those of you who are interested, executive burnout. But beneath every surface of every diagnosis is this simple, quiet truth. You are not too much. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply buried and ready to rise. This proclamation is not just symbolic. It's an affirmation that men's mental health matters, that emotional wellness is just as critical as physical fitness, and that true strength begins with self-awareness. So to every man that is struggling silently, know that help is here. Healing is possible. And just as Michelangelo knew, you are already in there. Thank you to the city of Farmington Hills for recognizing this truth. So let's all of us continue to work together to reveal what is real, what is whole, and what is within all of us. Thank you.
First, I want to just thank Mr. Poole
Mr. Poole.
for your great comments. You know, I'm reading a book right now called The Man the Moment Demands. It's a great book by a guy named, I think his name's Tayson Wilson, out of Detroit. And it speaks about emotional incarceration. And it speaks about how men grow up as focusing on masculinity and results in emotional incarceration. And it also talks about childhood trauma, things like that as well. But it's a great book, and your comments there were right on target. I'm reading it right now. I read it once, and I got so much out of that book in regards to, you know, how to be, so we call the comprehensive man. and focusing on not varying your emotions and not using masculinity as your approach all the time, how that can cause toxic relationships, jobs, family, etc. So your comments were right on target, and I'm reading that book right now, so I would thank you for your presentation and your company. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Poole, you dashed right back to your seat. Did you want to do a photo with council? And if you want to bring anyone that's with you, you certainly may. Bring a certificate. Okay.
We have our
Do you have your spots? We have our tonight order. Thank you. Our next proclamation recognizes June 19th, 2025 is Juneteenth.
Okay. Proclamation Juneteenth celebration, June 19th, 2025. Whereas the city of Farmington Hills formally acknowledges Juneteenth as a holiday marking the end of slavery in the United States. And whereas the city of Farmington Hills commemorates the word of emancipation finally reaching a group of enslaved Africans in Galveston, Texas on June 19, 1865, more than 2.5 years after President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, stating that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are henceforth shall be free. And whereas following his statement, June 19th, also known as Juneteenth, became the emancipation date of those long suffering for freedom. And whereas since then, as the oldest known celebration commemorating the end of slavery in America, the tradition of celebrating Juneteenth has remained strong well into the 21st century, recognizing the triumph of the human spirit over the cruelty of slavery and honoring the strength, endurance, and faith of African American ancestors. And whereas on June 17, 2021, President Joseph R. Biden Jr. signed into law Senate Bill 475, making Juneteenth a federal holiday. And whereas Juneteenth is a day of reflection, renewal, and pride as families and community members gather to celebrate the African American experience and to measure and appreciate the great progress and significant contributions made by African Americans in our society. And whereas worldwide celebrations of Juneteenth are designed to acknowledge and honor history while looking toward the future with a renewed commitment to building coalitions, offering support, and working toward peace and liberty for all. And whereas the City of Farmington Hills Special Services Department Cultural Arts Division will host a free concert at 7 p.m. on June 19th at the Hawk Theater for the community to come together in celebration of Juneteenth. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Teresa Rich, Mayor of the City of Farmington Hills, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2025 as Juneteenth in Farmington Hills, we encourage all community members to attend the city's free Juneteenth celebration concert and urge the community to celebrate African American history and culture while continuing to promote liberty for all and a strong sense of belonging in Farmington Hills year-round. Accepting this honor is our own Dr. Patricia Coleman Burns.
If Irene would come up and Mabel. I see Chief Piggott out in the hall, Mayor, because I was at your State of the Cities. And there's something, instead of being at the first session of the Community Policing Academy, so I missed that one, to come and hear what you had to say. And there was a theme that you resonated called home. And I will ask for those in the audience who've come to thank the City Council, the Mayor, the City of Farmington Hills for creating a space called home for everybody. If you would stand, for those of you who've come to celebrate Juneteenth, stand would you please. We want to say thank you because you are modeling an inclusive community for the future. One that continues to advance listening, serving, and representing all voices in our community with over many different diverse communities. When you have 18.5% African Americans in a community that feels at home and welcome, then it's something that has been quite a tribute. I want to thank Mabel and Jackie, because 6 years ago, John Burns started the first ever Juneteenth celebration here in Farmington Hills. And he passed on May 17th of 2019. And now Councilwoman Jackie and Mabel Fox, in a month, put together the first ever Juneteenth celebration. And Councilman Bridges led us in making sure that we represented a history of truth and honesty in this community. And so I want to say thank you. I just want to spend just a little time. This is our 7th annual Juneteenth celebration. We're still here. We are hosting and partnering with Narden Park. Jeff Gardner has been with us for all 7 of the sessions, but this year Narden Park is giving out free bikes in their bike ministry to young folk the ages of 7 to 10 who have never had a bike. And so we thank Narden Park for that support. On Thursday night, in conflict to the Hawk concert, but there's enough of us and there's enough going around so we can do multiple things. We will have our community conversation, and it is by Conversations on Race, Bridging to Belonging, and we engage in conversations with diverse folk who will come and tell their My Coming to America story. And then we have a dinner and dialogue all around to express and understand what's going on. I thank my project manager who keeps me focused, because now we have many different people involved. Thank you, Mayor Teresa, for all of the context and the resources you provided for us in the community. DTE, the Shell gas station, Dr. Robert Burns is expert physical therapy. We are coming together in a community and making a difference. And that difference is stand up, all the community folk who are there representing and working together to make sure that we as a community feel at home. And so thank you for making us feel at home. And we know we have a lot of work to do, but that's okay. It's always forward ever and backwards never, which is our theme this year. And we'd like to take a picture with all of you.
We would love nothing more. Thank you. Thanks. Do we need to So what I've learned from doing 95 weddings in this room is if you're under the clock, you're in the center.
Under the clock.
Great, thank you. Okay, two more. Next is a proclamation recognizing June 2025 as LGBTQ Pride Month.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Okay. Whereas the struggle for dignity and equality for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer or questioning people is reflected in the dedication of advocates and allies who strive for a more inclusive society. And whereas June is declared as Pride Month to commemorate the June 1969 Stonewall Uprising in Manhattan, targeting LGBTQ patrons and other marginalized people in violation of their civil rights, leading to the gay rights movement. And whereas LGBTQ Americans, including our neighbors, co-workers, friends, and family members, face discrimination simply for being who they are, and there is still work to do to extend the promise of our country to every person. And whereas the landmark Supreme Court decision of 2015 guaranteeing marriage equality in all 50 states was a historic victory for LGBTQ Americans, which affirmed that everyone deserves to be treated as equals. And whereas in 2015, the City of Farmington Hills enacted a human rights ordinance stating the city's intent that no person be denied equal protection of the laws, nor shall any person be denied the enjoyment of his or her civil or political rights or be discriminated against because of actual or perceived race, color, religion, national origin, sex, age, height, weight, condition of pregnancy, marital status, physical or mental limitation, source of income, family status, sexual orientation, or gender identity. And whereas the City's Special Services Department Cultural Arts Division hosts inclusive community events each year in celebration of LGBTQ community members and their contributions to the arts to encourage acceptance in the community. And whereas resources exist in Farmington Hills to support LGBTQ community members, including Alphabet Soup at the Farmington Community Library, a group for LGBTQ teens and allies that is focusing on creating a safe space for young people at the library. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Teresa Rich, Mayor of the City of Farmington Hills, on behalf of the City Council, does hereby proclaim June 2025 as LGBTQ Pride Month in Farmington Hills and encourage our community to eliminate prejudice wherever it exists and to celebrate our great diversity by taking part in community events throughout June that focus on and celebrate our LGBTQ neighbors. And we have the Farmington Community Library Director, Kelly Sechrist, and Board President Ernie McClellan here to accept this award. Or, sorry, this proclamation.
So I don't think Ernie is here tonight, but as I walked to the podium, I realized I did forget my reading glasses, so this could be a little interesting.
Do you want to borrow some?
I know. I'm good. No. Okay. At the library, we are committed to serving the needs of all of our members of our community. We're grateful to the city for recognizing Pride Month and honoring the LGBTQ community that we support. Our collection includes materials that reflect and celebrate LGBTQ experiences and stories, offering valuable resources for education, connection, and understanding. We also provide inclusive programming, such as our recent educational presentation on the history of Pride protest, the Stonewall protest, that was just last Thursday, I believe, in Michigan, and our monthly meetup space dedicated to LGBTQ teens. FCL is proud to be a welcoming space for everyone in our community, so thank you.
Kelly, did you want a photo or no? Okay. All right, one more.
You're up.
This one is a proclamation recognizing Farmington Soccer Club U14 Fury.
All right, whereas the Farmington Soccer Club, FSC, was founded in 1976 by local soccer enthusiasts and has since grown into a vibrant community organization that has been represented by more than 1,500 teams that have played in more than 14,000 matches. And whereas FSC's mission is to promote friendship, sportsmanship, and skill across all levels of the sport. And whereas the Farmington Soccer Club U14 Fury team has demonstrated exceptional athletic ability, dedication, and teamwork throughout their season, leading to them to qualify for the Michigan State Youth Soccer Association MSYSA State Championship. And whereas under the leadership of their coaches and with the support of their families and community, the U14 Fury demonstrated their outstanding performance by winning their game and being named Premier Division State Cup champions after a remarkable 3-1 win in overtime. And whereas this accomplishment reflects the talent and determination of each player and the strength of the Farmington Soccer Club's commitment to youth development and excellence in athletics. And whereas this victory brings esteem to the team, the club, and also to the greater Farmington Hills community. And whereas the city of Farmington Hills takes pride in recognizing young people who exemplify good sportsmanship and community spirit. Now therefore be it resolved that Teresa Rich, Mayor of the City of Farmington Hills, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby congratulate the Farmington Soccer Club U14 Fury on their championship win and encourage youth to take part in activities that will help them build life skills, including teamwork, leadership, and confidence. And accepting the proclamation is their coach, Chino Alp.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, parents. Thank you, every single one of you, for recognizing this outstanding group of kids. They are a true example of hard work, discipline, and they never stop fighting. This coming weekend, we are going to regionals, and I'm very sure and I'm very proud of them. Will represent the club, the city, and the state, and put an outstanding performance out there in St. Louis, Missouri.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. With one of the parents.
There we go.
All right, guys, the clock is the center of the picture.
All right. Does that work?
There you go. All right.
Good job. You look like a coach.
Congratulations.
So how appropriate that we start the proclamations with "Go play outside" and end the proclamations with "Soccer champs." Go get them, team. That was the fun part of the agenda. All righty, next up, announcements, presentations from city boards, commissions, and public officials. Okay, then that takes us to correspondence. Council, any correspondence you would like to share?
Yeah.
Yes, Ms. Boulaware.
Yeah, I have two. One is from Lindsay Janak on Petersburg, who had a complaint about sci-fi and the destruction on her front lawn, as well as asking, will the plants that were destroyed be replaced? And that complaint was sent to our city manager, Gary Metchin, for a response. And the second one came from Ted Hatfield on Wellington Street, and he's been trying for 2 years to get his yard and driveway restored from damages he alleged was caused by the city, and that we offered to pay $1,000 on a $4,000 repair job. That complaint was also submitted directly to our city manager, Gary Metchin, for a response and resolution.
Did you want to say anything?
I do have receipt of that, and staff has been in touch with both those residents, just so you know, council member.
Right.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, want to share, I guess this is correspondence. This was left at my place this evening. It is a certificate in appreciation from Farmington Hills Neighborhood House to the city of Farmington Hills, with gratitude and deep appreciation for all your generous support of the Farmington Hills Neighborhood House and those who are in need in our community, dated 2024, and I will send this over to Mr. Metchin. This then takes us to the consent agenda, and before the Mayor Pro Tem reads the consent agenda, just a protocol matter. For those who are here to make public comment, our protocol is to please fill out a blue card. If you are here for a specific agenda item, please say so. If you are not here for a specific agenda item, we will assume that it's general public comment, which will happen after all of the other business comes before us. That takes us then to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine, administrative, or non-controversial by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which event the items may be removed from the consent agenda for consideration, and they will be read by our Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Buckle up, there are 30 of them.
Number 15, recommended approval of the annual bid waivers and awards for fiscal year 2025-2026, CMR 62591. Number 16, recommended adoption of a resolution requesting the assistance of the Michigan Department of Natural Resources on behalf of requests made by homeowners associations in the implementation of the Canada Goose program. Number 17, recommend approval of a special event permit for ISKCON Farmington Hills Annual Chariot Festival, ISKCON, to be held on June 22nd, 2025. Number 18, recommend approval of a special event permit for the First Methodist Episcopal Church of Farmington Hills 7th Annual Farmington Area Judith Celebration to be held on June 21st, 2025. Number 19, recommended approval of a special event permit for Ward Church Festival of India to be held on July 12th, 2025. Number 20, recommend approval of a special permit for the Farmington Community Library food truck Tuesdays to be held once a month, June through August 2025. Number 21, recommended approval of a special event permit for CARES of the Farmington Hills and West Side Row and Custom Car Cruise-In and Community Night to be held on Wednesday through October 2025. Number 22, recommended approval of the updated joint and cooperative agreement for the use of personnel and equipment during emergencies with the Southeastern Oakland County Public Works Association, CMR 62592. Number 23, recommended adoption of a resolution authorizing the Evergreen Farmington Sanitary Drainage District Walnut Number 1 Corrective Action Plan Assessment Payment, CMR 62593. Number 24, recommended adoption of a resolution to decertify Munters Street from Greening Street to Highview Avenue, CMR 62594. Number 25, recommended approval of adopting a resolution to vacate a water main easement located at 27,155 Orchard Lake Road, CMR 62595. Number 26, recommended approval of a request for employment under Section 10.01A of the City Charter for a camp coordinator, CMR 62596. Number 27, recommended approval of City Council study session minutes of May 12, 2025. Number 28, recommended approval of City Council regular session minutes of May 12, 2025. Number 29, recommended approval of City Council budget study session minutes of May 13, 2025. And lastly, number 30, recommended approval of City Council budget study session minutes of May 14, 2025. That's it, Mayor.
All right. And I think we probably need a couple of motions. So who would like to make the first one? Dr. Bruce.
Thank you. I would move the approval of consent agenda items 15 through 26 and 29 as read by the Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, so that's 15 through 26 plus 29.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. This is a roll call vote.
Council members Bolliwer,
Yes.
Bridges,
Let me just make sure I got this right. Because I was
you're,
abstaining, or was that?
You're good.
I was,
Yes, you can vote yes on this.
yes,
yes.
okay. Thank you.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Aldred,
Yes.
and Mayor Rich.
Yes. Okay, how about another motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion for items 27, 28, and 30. Or
Okay.
just 40, or can we do May 12 and May 14 in one motion?
I don't know that we can.
Was someone absent?
Yes, I think we had
So-
absences on the 14th, did we not?
Yep, I was
Mayor
gone.
Rich,
Can I just make a recommendation?
Mm-hmm.
So Councilmember Bridges, he was absent, we're saying for the 2 budget meetings.
Okay,
So if we do all the items except for the 2 budget meetings, which that would be 29 and 30, then we should be all set.
so we already approved 29.
Right, so I'll make a motion to approve item 27 and 28.
Perfect.
Support.
Okay, we have motion and support. Again, a roll call vote.
Council members Bridges,
Abstain.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Aldred,
Yes.
Bolliwer,
Yes.
and Mayor Rich.
Yes.
Okay.
And then that leads us to item 30. Is there a motion?
I can make a motion. Madam Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda item 30 as read by the Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay. Again, a roll call vote.
Support. Thank you.
Oh. Sorry, thank you. right.
Council members Bruce,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Aldred,
Yes.
Bolliwer,
Yes.
Bridges.
Abstain.
Thank you. Mayor Rich.
Councilmember Dwyer was
Hold
absent.
on.
I have a correction. I abstain.
You, oh, all right,
Okay, and
thank you.
I'm a yes.
All right, got that.
Motion carries.
Yes.
All right then. That then takes us to council member comments and announcements. Anyone like to have any council member comments or announcements this evening?
I have a quick comment.
Please.
Yeah, following up on Councilmember Bowyer's comment, there's some good news about sci-fi. Fact is that at the Art on the Grand, T-Mobile was there, promoting their T-Mobile fiber optic access, and they offer some great rates. $60 for, I think it's like 500 gigs. So that's great news that they are already starting to take advantage and promote their access to the Sci-Fi system, which will result in hopefully a lower internet cost for Farmington Hills residents. So I want to put that out there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I have a few items. Walk the Hawk is tomorrow night. We have moved it to evenings for the summertime because, believe it or not, nobody wants to go out on the track at noon in the summer. So this is going to be tomorrow, June 10th, Tuesday, July 8th, and Tuesday, August 12th. So it remains on the second Tuesday of the month. It's just moved to 7 p.m. For those who would like to come out and share whatever's on your mind, we'll see you out at the track. A couple comments about events. I want to mention the Great Farmington Hills Campout was last weekend. Terrific success. We were really, really fortunate with the weather. And congrats and thank you to all involved. Also, congrats to all involved with Art on the Grand. What a huge effort it is to pull that off. And really, it was the best show ever. And goodness knows, best weather ever that we have had for that event. No tornadoes, no giant rainstorms. It was super. Also, thank you to the senior division for once again making, I can't tell you how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of blueberry oatmeal cookies that provide sustenance for the community and then will help fund meals for seniors. Couple of events coming up this weekend. We have kickoff to, Thursday, we have kickoff to summer. You've heard about that a few times, so we'll see you out at the Hawk for that. On the 14th, we have Elks Flag Day at the Elks Lodge at 3 p.m. and on 10 Mile. And also, we have a Pride event on Saturday. The Drag Queen concert is at 7 p.m. We have upcoming our special meeting with regard to what's next step for a senior center. And none of us have yet to see the final report, so we're all looking forward to that and having robust conversation and sharing it with you on the 23rd of June at the Hawk. And with that said, I have a statement I'd like to make tonight about one of our upcoming agenda items. So, per our charter, the first meeting in June, tonight, is when we are required to pass a budget. Now, this can be a little tricky because many of our budget assumptions are based on we expect the federal and the state budgets to be. But we won't have details on that for months to come because their cadence is later in the year. The Budget Finance Director Scribola will be sharing tonight was vetted over a number of council budget sessions where we held discussion and did not vote. For the most part, there seems to be consensus across council. Now, some of the new things you're going to hear about are really exciting. These include adding 4 additional firefighters so that all 5 of our stations will have staff of people, full-time firefighters who are also paramedics, 24/7. Another exciting thing we're going to hear about when Director Scribola presents is a first-time allocation for public art. Where we did not have full agreement relates to what we do about federal edicts and directives, such as the executive orders that are coming from the new presidential administration. We've received communication from several federal departments that failure to comply with executive orders will result in our losing federal funding. For the allocation that is used to provide for 114,000 senior meals last year, for instance, including Meals on Wheels, a condition of acceptance of that funding is that our staff sign under penalty of perjury a statement that we are in compliance with all executive orders. And frankly, I am not willing to put this important funding of services like meals for homebound seniors at risk, nor am I going to want to ask staff to sign something under penalty of perjury that they know to not be true. While many of the federal orders and directives are under review and some have been overturned, we can only operate today with what we know today. The main point of contention has been to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, for those who may not know, I was one of the first diversity officers in the United States at General Motors in the mid-1990s. I believe Farmington Hills diversity is one of its greatest strengths and is why so many of us, including my family, chose Farmington Hills to live and to work. I believe that all people should be treated equitably, and I believe that all should be included and welcomed. And as the Reverend Dr. Coleman Burns said earlier during her comments, our "This is Home" message from the April State of the City's address continues to ring true, and that Farmington Hills is home for all. And I believe in doing the work and continuing to do the work to make this happen. All that said, I also believe that continuing to have a standalone DEI department puts our city at financial risk. And for that reason, I support migrating from having a separate DEI department to dividing up the DEI type work across many departments, all staying within the bounds of the law. We have asked our city manager to prepare a schedule of deliverables that will be included in key performance measures and future budgets, and how the organization he administers will achieve these deliverables. This is still under development and discussion with council. For purposes of the budget before us tonight that you're soon to hear about, we are required to pass something before we go home. During our council discussions, not all council members were aligned that we should eliminate the DEI department at this time, that this move may be premature because some of the relevant directives may be overturned. And they may be right. I appreciate and understand this point of view. What I think we should do is pass the budget proposed before us with an amendment that in the event federal directives are nullified, we would hold a study session to discuss reopening the budget in relationship to how programming is done to welcome and include all and is administered in our city. While some may also accurately say that we could always schedule a future study session, I believe that this amendment provides good faith intent about a matter that is important to many of us. And with that, our next item is City Manager Update.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just wanted to mention, about a week and a half ago, we had 83rd graders from Forest Elementary swing by and visit the 47th District Court to hold their annual Snow White mock trial. It's a lot of fun having a lot of kids on the City Hall campus here. Hats off to the Forest Elementary School teachers that organized that annual event. I think the kids have a lot of fun, and our employees enjoy having the kids in City Hall. Just wanted to share with the public that Standard & Poor's has reaffirmed the city's AAA bond rating with a stable outlook. So that's great news and seems timely since we're talking about the budget this evening. Also wanted to let the residents know, we received some phone calls, and I think we hit cranes in a couple of other publications as it relates to storage of Tesla vehicles at the Hunter Square parking lot. Our code zoning officers dealt with that. We ended up going into a little bit of a mediation talk, and so we should see those vehicles out of there no later than June 25th. I'm looking at Charmaine, she's nodding her head. Splash pad, it's currently closed until further notice due to some underground piping issues and filtration systems, so we're working through that. Also wanted to let folks know, if you're still struggling to get around city, just wanted to let folks know that I just lost the email, son of a gun. Road Commission for Oakland County is going to be closing Orchard Lake Road next week. So for some sewer work that has to be done in advance of the road paving job.
From where to where?
12 to 13, I'm sorry, 12 to 13 Mile Road. And last but not least, I want to wish our city engineer a very happy birthday. Where are you, Mr. Cabrera? Happy birthday, Jimmy.
Hey. All right.
Quick question. Mr. Mection?
Yes, sir.
For the road closure on Orchard Lake Road, will there be some sort of local access maintained for the businesses up and
Yes.
down Orchard Lake?
Yes, but the side streets will be closed. They'll have to access off a 12 Mile Road. And the detour is 12 Mile to Farmington to 13 Mile Road.
But will that be posted so people know that they can access? Because those road closures just really negatively impact businesses so badly.
It should be, and they'll also be putting out a press release. I think the press release already went out, so.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Yep.
How long is it going to be closed?
1 week? 1 week.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Weather permitting.
Okay, this takes us to item 7, public hearing. Public hearing in consideration of adoption of the 2025-2026 fiscal year budget and 2025 property tax millage rates. Good evening, Director Scribola. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members, staff. My name is Tom Scribola, Finance Director. I'm here to give you a brief introduction to the proposed annual budget for fiscal year 2025-2026. First of all, I just want to report as far as our resources, our taxable values have continued to grow despite some global pressures on property sales and such around the country. We are still seeing strong sales inside the city. So our citywide taxable value accordingly is increasing by 4.39% compared to last year. And that's a net of 4.43% for real property value, 3.67% of personal property value. Real property is buildings and land. Personal property are heavy equipment and things that are used for businesses. The increase in real property value is a result of 4.63% increase in residential values, 3.7% increase in commercial values, and about 5% in industrial property value increases. Personal property, as I was mentioning a second ago, is about 5% of the tax base for 25-26. This millage rate, this kind of busy-looking chart here, shows you what's been happening to millage rates over the last couple of years. The bottom line total at the bottom right is 16.4902. That is the proposed millage rate, inclusive of all the millages that you see lined up in the far right column. And that includes the most recently approved road millage from last year, from November 8th of 2024. That'll last through 2035, actually. That's a typo. Your tax dollars are stretched in the following ways. When you pay your tax bills, it's not just the city you're paying schools, county, and other entities that we collect for and distribute taxes to. So the city's share of your tax bill depends upon whether you're in the Farmington district, Walled Lake, or Clarenceville school districts. In Farmington, the city's share of your tax dollar is about 41% versus 45% for the other two school districts. And you can see education takes up about 40% or so, and the county and those other ones, including SMART and the zoo and art, that takes up about 14-15%. So general fund revenue, our budget is increasing for revenue by about $3.4 million or 4.3% compared to the 24-25 projected actual. Property taxes up $1.4 million. Recreation user fees we're projecting at $2.4 million. Interest income we're projecting down by about $0.7 million. We'll see how that plays its way out as interest rates have been a little bit volatile, but remain strong. So we might actually beat that interest income estimate. State share of revenue, this used to be a point of great contention back when you could see the graph was going down, 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 and the state legislature and governors seemed to like to cut that number for us. But in the last 5 years, it's been pretty steady at 9.5, going up to 10 million. So that's good news for us. General fund revenues for the
for the upcoming fiscal year are about 83.25 million. And you can see how that's made up. Property taxes, the kind of light green, lime green wedge to the right, almost exactly 50% of that. And state share of revenue down there in the bottom right is about 13%, and recreation is about 14% up at the top left. Budgeted expenditures, you can see about 87 million. So what makes up the large part of that? Police, about 24%. General government, that's everything that happens at City Hall and over at Halsted. And DPW, that's about 17.5 million. Special services, Parks and Rec, that's about 18%, about 15.3 million. And then other departments, the interfund transfer down at the bottom left is 9.3 million. That's primarily to pay for capital improvement projects that are not inclusive of streets, but are for facilities and sidewalks and things of that nature, and drains are a big part of that. And then also interfund transfers fund our retiree healthcare benefits. General fund balance has been strong for a while, and you can see it's been hovering up there. At the end of last year, it was $61.6 million. It's projected to be pulled down to about 57.6 at the end of this year in just a couple weeks, and then going to be pulled down by another 4 million for the upcoming budget. So the upcoming budget anticipates a spend down of about $4 million, and then 26-27 that projects another spend down of about $4 million as well. So our citywide capital expenditures include pretty robust allocation for local major roads. That's $33.8 million of local major roads. That's very good. That's up a little bit thanks to the passage of the roads millage that we talked about a second ago. Drainage and bridges, $4.5 million. That's a very strong percentage and dollar amount going to drains and bridges. I have to say it's better than a lot of other communities that I've seen. It's good investment in our long-term health and stability. And you can see the rest of the areas are pretty steady from what you would see from year to year. Public facilities is up a little bit. That's inclusive of a couple of larger projects that we have coming up for this year. So a total of $49 million. That's up about $10 million over the previous fiscal year. So I also wanted to just highlight a couple of things since the mayor promised that I would highlight them. We have included in this budget 4 new firefighters, which will fully staff Station 4, meaning that all 5 of our stations, fire stations, would be staffed by full-time firefighters. That'll be a first. And then the second thing is included for new staffing is a senior human resources analyst. So there are 5 new positions included. That's net of the position elimination that was discussed earlier, as well as 1 position in my department, which is due to efficiencies from upgrades of software. So with that, I will, also the allocation of $100,000 for public art in the support services budget. So that's also a new item. So with that, I will stop and open myself up for questions.
Okay, so here's how we're going to go. Council is going to be able to ask questions, then we will open the public hearing, and then council will deliberate, and we will be here till we pass the budget. So council, questions? Yes, Mr. Bridges.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom, for your presentation. Appreciate that. I think about a couple of meetings ago, I asked you to prepare a report in regards to fund balances of neighboring communities, particularly benchmark communities. Troy is a benchmark community, Southfield. And what did you come up with?
I do have that report drafted. Thank you for reminding me of that. It's something that I will discuss with the city manager. We compared ourselves to our benchmark communities, which include Novi, Southfield, Livonia, Royal Oak, Troy, and Royal Oak. Thank you. So we are a little bit higher than our surrounding communities, but not that much higher. I've been doing this for about 30 years, so I know how people budget things. And so some of their general funds look a little impoverished, but when you put it all together, where they have money in their CIP funds and in other funds that are supported by their general fund, they're typically in the 60 to 70% range, and we're a little over 70%.
I'd like to see those numbers, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll get those numbers to you.
All right. The other thing is in regards to how much City Manager Maxim mentioned that we retained our AAA bond rating.
Correct.
What fund balance does the bond market want us to have in order to maintain that? What's your guess
Thank
on
you.
that?
Generally speaking, they would like to see it in the mid 30%.
30%?
Yes.
And where are we at right now?
We are over 70%.
70%?
Correct.
Okay. And so we can get at 30% and maintain a AAA bond rating?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Unless the rules change, yes.
Sorry. All right. And do you expect property values continue to rise over the, that's a main driver of our revenue source coming up?
That is a great question. We do project property values to continue to rise by roughly 3% as part of our this upcoming budget year plus 2 more years fiscal plan. At the same time, we can see some pressure. If you've been reading the articles lately, there's now a flip in the national housing market where there's a lot of pressure on sellers and some new supply coming online. Finally, you could see some timber going up here and there. So while we haven't seen that hit our sales numbers yet, I think it's just a matter of time before this peak is reached and we start to see some flattening out.
And when I arrived on council 17 years ago, the city was at the lower ranks in regards to taxes. Now we're up in the top 25% percentile. And as you know, that can impact affordability of people being able to purchase a home, own a home. We have a growing senior citizen base in Farmington Hills, and they are on fixed income. And I just wanted to remind you about that because the fact that our taxes are relatively high compared to other communities. Now, we get great services for it, no question about that. And we get a very top-notch public safety department on the fire and police side. But why haven't you or in the city considered a millage rollback for residents?
For this reason, and that is because we're still
That hefty fund
looking to
balance.
draw down about $4 million a year if we hit all of our revenue targets this year, and that's a considerable jump in the special services area that we're trying to attain this upcoming year. If we hit that jump, we're still going to be spending down $4 million of fund balance every year, and until we have some kind of resolution of the overall special services imbalance. So we still need to find another $2 million or so in addition to resolving the aged senior center that we need to replace. And so with all of these pressures, we've adopted kind of a let's hold steady, with our overall plan while we, let this shake out, come back to you with proposals with SSC to address the special services deficit and the Caustic Center situation, and then we can, update our long-term plan, because right now, the long-term plan has us spending that $3 or $4 million down, pretty much indefinitely.
Yeah. Then we also have an issue liability with the pension liability as well.
Correct.
And are you going to prepare a plan for council to get to that number that we need to get at?
Yes.
A higher number of percentage there, possible?
Yes, we have a GRS, our actuary, recently gave me a document that's kind of their pro forma or standard kind of amortization back to 100%, which under normal circumstances, if we hit 7% a year in terms of asset growth, and we don't have anything unusual happen in terms of our retirement experience, then we should be up to 85% within about 7 to 10 years and up to 100% within 15 to 20 years. So that is essentially the plan, although I think we need to do more, in my opinion, we need to do more to generate more asset growth.
The one general comment, the city residents have been very generous in improving villages in Farmington Hills historically.
Yes.
We have to be mindful of the impact on their ability to stay in their homes in Farmington Hills and attract new homeowners to Farmington Hills as well.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Ms. Knoll.
Thank you. So thank you for your time, and also not just your time, but all the department heads who helped prepare the budgets. I know we had several meetings about the budget 2-3 weeks ago now, I believe it was, that we were in here and all the department heads came in and we went through in detail every single budget for each department head. So thank you for that. I just want to follow up on Mr. Bridges' question. He asked about the housing market. My question is on the commercial market, and whether you still see growth in the commercial market. With some of the vacancies in office buildings, have you seen the owners of those buildings come into the Board of Review to try to appeal their property tax and lower the value? How did that go this year? Did we see a lot of that? And do you expect a drop in the commercial real estate market? And then the other question is, just to confirm, I know at one time we were in a deficit of $6 million for special services, and now I believe we brought that down to $4 million, correct? We obviously have to get that down more, but we've dropped it $2 million with some of the improvements that the consultant recommended that we do, and those were able to bring it down too. And the plan for tightening up that, bringing that 4 down is what will also be part of the meeting on the 23rd, correct? Yeah, okay. That was more for, well, the overall plan for the senior center and special services, it all ties together.
Right.
So, yeah.
So with regards to the commercial property,
Commercial property, yeah.
Yes, we saw an uptick in appeals to the Board of Review and then to the Michigan Tax Tribunal. Those are in process. So far, the Michigan Tax Tribunal appeals that we've seen in past years haven't really resulted in any major issues for the growth of our commercial tax base, which has continued to grow at a 3 to 4% clip. But you know, we've seen more appeals this year, and so we don't know how they're going to play out exactly. But Matt Dingman, our outstanding assessor, he manages those extremely well, and I can say at the very least, whatever comes out of that process will be evidence-based and not because we're giving in. That having been said, we want an evidence and reality-based assessment role, and that's something that I think the stability of our role demonstrates very careful adjustments that Matt makes every year. So I think that with regards to commercial property, there was some evidence that Matt saw last year that suggested that commercial property could be brought down by anywhere from 2 to 10%. Due to the factors we were talking about. We haven't seen that yet, but we're certainly mindful of that. And we've increased a little bit of our budget for MTT rebates should those appeals go a little bit further against us than we think. So we try to be conservative in our estimates, but when the downturn starts, usually there's kind of a cascading effect, and we'll pick it up at its front end and make sure that we budget accordingly. But if the state, one thing I want to mention is the state has us on a 2-year sales cycle, right? So that kind of blunts the impact of a 2 or 3 or 4 month trend. However, the state also can and has in the past during the Great Recession, when a downturn starts, if a general downturn starts in residential, they could switch to a 1-year study, in which case the downturn would hit us faster. So we are not seeing evidence of that happening in the residential market yet. So if it happens in the commercial market, it would probably pull our estimate down from maybe 3% overall to maybe 2%. And that would be a couple $100,000 of revenue there. So I don't see the commercial market downturn that could happen necessarily altering our budget that much. But if the residential started to go down, that would be a different story.
Thank you.
Sure. Oh, and the second question was the plan, right? So just to validate what you were saying, we were at $6.5 million deficit in December 21 when I presented to the council the problem. And then since then we hired SSC and they put a study forward in 2023. And from that we changed fees and we changed some marketing strategies and whatnot, program adjustments. And we've whittled that down from 6.5 to what is projected in 25-26 to be $4 million. But that does include, $900,000 assumed from our friends at the county every year, and that also does assume some revenue growth in the upcoming year.
Okay.
So, so it's a dynamic situation.
Anyone else? Mr. Eldred.
Briefly, I just want to say thank you for getting this to us in advance. We have a little extra time this year to go through it, and I think it's important for the residents to know that council does go through the budget and in detail, with page by page, over self-study sessions. You know, we take this is serious. And yeah, so thank you for getting that to us in time. And I also want to echo the mayor's comments about the 4 full-time firefighters in order to 24-hour staff. The Station 4, I think all of council will probably be happy to see that taking place. So I'm glad we're able to make that happen in this budget. So thank you.
Anyone else? All right, in that case, we will open the public comment. The public hearing is now open. I have 4 cards, so here's the order that we're going to go. Daryl Conliffe, Joshua Taylor, Sue Ross, Fergal Amayo. And as a reminder, public comment is 3 minutes, and we don't applaud or react. And of course, this is the opportunity for public to address us. It is not a dialogue. Good evening, Mr. Conliffe.
Good evening. I don't know what I set off. I came out this evening not only to visit and hear about the good news of the city, but also to express some major concern around the way that the DEI resources have been handled or not handled. I think it is, while I recognize the threat that the administration presents to all good government, I do believe that the movement of the city into the future would need to have some provision for being able to say, what did we lose when we stopped this? Obviously, we were doing something right, and all of a sudden, it's been taken away. There may be some ways to keep a metric of that. I hope that the city does not give up on the idea that there is a need for DEI activities, awareness, actions, and in fact, what we might be seeing later on in either new hires or new policies is a retrenchment to times where people perhaps were not as welcoming or felt as at ease with others in the environment. I have to tell you that I have not been at City Hall for years, really. Except today I came in to see someone about a dog license. And I was very shocked to see that there was somebody of color behind the counter, which I had never seen before here in Farmington Hills. Now, I know that I'm not here every day, so I mean, this might be, standard fare, but in the past, it has been kind of unusual to see people of color in those roles. Felt good. I didn't happen to work with her, but I saw her as competent. And I think that that kind of movement or that kind of activity is something we need to continue to make sure that we don't lose it, even though we are being driven by a crazed man. Well, let me not go that way. An individual who seems to think that he'd rather be a king. So I hope that you provide a good way to be able to restore sanity when it happens.
Thank you, Mr. Conliffe.
Okay.
Joshua Taylor. And if someone could help Joshua with the microphone, please. Oh, we have a handheld, even better yet. Thank you, Jacob. Good evening.
Evening. My name is Joshua Taylor. I am a resident of Farmington Hills and I live on Cadillac Street. I'm an active member of our community and involved in multiple organizations that focus on the equity of individuals with disabilities. This includes as state chair for a national advocacy organization called Changing Spaces. We focus on accessibility and inclusion through universal bathroom access. When I got the call that the finalization of the elimination of diversity, equity, and inclusion, not DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion would be included in this vote, I had to be here tonight, despite just having had surgery earlier this afternoon. This was important to me, and I could not stay silent. Targeting diversity, equity, and inclusion actively targets my friends, my girlfriend, and thousands of residents and visitors to this city. When you target diversity, equity, and inclusion, you target myself and my purpose. When you support or oppose diversity, equity, and inclusion, you are not targeting or supporting wokeness. You are supporting or opposing basic human rights and the dignity of those individuals. You support having the same opportunities as anyone else, regardless of their race, creed, disability, gender, or orientation. My family moved to Farmington Hills 26 years ago for the diversity of this city. Farmington Public Schools advertises 65 languages spoken within the borders of this district, which primarily includes this city. The policies of our city should continue to reflect the full spectrum of the great residents of our city, the projects advancing inclusion in our city. Understanding the federal directive in place, there's no guarantees that the funding at risk will be in place as it is or has been in the past, whether this vote passes or fails. Please consider this with your vote. Whether this passes or fails, we must keep these policies in place, whether officially or unofficially. If you only consider one sentence related to this speech, please ponder this. No matter what protected or unprotected class you fall into, I want to remind you, if you only stand for people that look or think like you, do you really stand for anything meaningful?
Thank you, Joshua. Okay. Sue Ross to be followed by Fergal Amayo.
Good evening. Ooh, I've got a lot of feedback. DEI was developed here in Farmington Hills through a partnership of citizens with their elected officials and governing staff. There was a whole year, I believe, before or after a special, an expert studied DEI in Farmington Hills, and the nod was given. It was justified, it was important, because ours is a welcoming city. Ours is a city where we even the playing fields, where every citizen is to feel safe and valued and heard. Now, I know that there was an executive order. There are lots of executive orders, and there will be lots more to come. An executive order is just that. It is an EO. It is put out by the executive branch of our government. It is not a law. Only Congress can allocate funds, federal funds, and only Congress can pass laws. Until and unless a law has been passed, and we have been told that we are outside compliance with civil rights that are written into the law, we are acting prematurely. This is a reactive move, in my opinion, and one which I feel will weaken our position as other orders come down. So I believe strongly that we should stand together again in partnership that we should recognize the importance that DEI provides for all of our citizens, women, people of color, people who are able or disabled, the elderly, the young, other gendered. It doesn't matter. We are all Farmington Hills residents. We are friends and neighbors. Well, sometimes we'll squabble, but basically, ours is a welcoming city. And standing up for DEI and not making an official move on it until and unless a law puts us outside compliance, I believe is reactive and not the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Virgil Amayo, to be followed by Angie Smith.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, neighbors. My name is Fergal Patrick Mayo, and I come to you tonight as a proud homeowner, father, husband, taxpayer in Farmington Hills for over a decade. I grew up here. I went to schools here. I went to Farmington, went to Harrison, graduated from these schools. After living outside of Michigan for more than 10 years, close to 15, I made the conscious decision with my wife and my family to come back. I didn't come back for nostalgia, although Michigan has plenty of that. I came back for belief because I saw this community, this place, as a place of promise and a place of home. Now I stand here not only as a resident, but as a father, husband. My wife's of Polish and German descent. I'm of African American and Irish descent. I'm a product of biracial multiculturalism. And together, we're raising a biracial son, a junior, actually, an honor roll student, a football player, a symphony orchestra player. And that's the embodiment of American history and a reminder of what makes Farmington Hills so unique. That's why I'm urging this council not to fold diversity, equity, and inclusion into human resources or eliminate the DEI office altogether. Let's be clear, diversity is our strength. It's who we are. It's the visible and invisible differences that shape us: race, culture, faith, gender, age, ability, and more. It's what makes Farmington Hills dynamic and reflective of the real world. Equity is how we are treated. It's recognizing that everybody starts from the same place and working to remove systemic barriers. It doesn't mean giving someone a head start. It means ensuring no one is held back unfairly. Inclusion is the feeling of belonging. It's the difference between being invited into a room and being welcomed to a table. It's not just representation, it's participation, voice, and value. These are not abstract ideals. These are real, immutable, measurable, and essential, especially in a place like ours that is increasingly multiracial, multi-generational, multicultural, in an environment where that may not be as welcome as it used to be. To absorb DEI into HR is not a consolidation, it's a quiet dismantling. HR exists to mitigate risks. DEI exists to build relationships. HR protects the city from liability. Diversity, equity, inclusion helps build a city worthy of loyalty. As Dr. Martin Luther King wrote, the time is always right to do what's right. And as James Baldwin wrote, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. This moment requires facing something head on. Other communities may be retreating from DEI, other businesses, everyone may be retreating. But now we must not confuse that retreat for wisdom. We must lead. If you're serious about economic development, attracting young professionals, and retaining talent like my son, then we must be intentional about building a city where every resident, every business owner, and every child feels like they belong. I didn't come back to Farmington Hills to raise my son in a place that hides from progress. I came back because I believe we are still growing forward, that we hold the line not just for ourselves, but for generations that come behind us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Angie Smith, to be followed by Eric Kittner.
Good evening. I had no intentions on speaking on this today, but I'm just going to be honest. My mother had a fool, but it ain't me. We filled this room tonight with people of different ethnicities, and we celebrated Juneteenth, and we talked about what we were doing and how we're doing in a community. We also heard that people have taken pride in working and doing DEI. Well, I am DEI. I am the proud mother of a lesbian daughter that came home today and told me on her job she had been called the F word, which is relevant to the N word, but it wasn't here in Farmington Hills. I am African American, Latino, and my grandfather was a little old white man from Ireland. Take pride in what you have done on your job as DEI, but I take pride as being diverse. I sat and I listened to Josh, who is a student of ours in Farmington Public Schools. He is DEI. DEI is not black. It is not white. It is Josh. It is me. It is my daughter. It is those that are financially unhealthy. It is those that are financially healthy. It is our Democrats and it is our Republicans, which I love both. But at the end of the day, let's really talk about what happened. That young lady was fired with no warning. We talk about HR. Putting DEI in HR is like buying a Coca-Cola and putting ice in it. You're diluting it. We have 2 African Americans that sit on this council, and we have several of them on here that believes in everything. We are the first community in Oakland County, after a speech given by the county commissioner saying that we were going to stay diverse and work with DEI. Right after that speech, it was let go. I urge everybody on November 4th to vote. And vote the right way to keep diversity, equity, and inclusion, which means not just Black people, all people. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Kittner?
Thanks, everybody else for, sharing your stories. You guys have some amazing ones. Joshua for coming here the same day he had an operation. It's just incredible. I saw the social media today that this meeting was going to be happening, and so I just had to come up here and say my piece as well. I'm here because of that. I've witnessed the effects of DEI firsthand. My company employs a DEI officer, and I can tell you how much I've learned and grown as a person because of that. The DEI initiatives in my company that my company adopted didn't replace anyone with a less qualified candidate. Made sure the company was extending the reach of its recruiting practices to people from all walks of life. Make sure these people who are hired have a voice at the table. What I've heard is diversity is making sure everybody has a seat at the table. Inclusion is making sure that everybody has a voice at the table. And make sure that those people who are hired have a voice at the table. You extend your reach to more candidates, you find more qualified people. I'm here to tell you DEI makes a difference. I lead a team of 9 people. Many of them don't look like me. They're a lot more skilled than me, I can tell you that. And if you take that away, if you take DEI away, less voices are heard. Mayor mentioned that there would be an addendum, potentially to change the budget if anything changes. I want to say I will be, one of the first people here at the city council meetings, making sure that that is changed if that's how this vote goes today. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there are no further cards, so with that, I will close the public hearing and then take it to council. And so, as we begin our deliberation, Mr. Jopik, could you please help us walk through how this process should go?
Yeah, certainly.
So in prior years, when you get the budget, of course, you make a motion at some point after deliberations to adopt the resolution that approves the budget and adopts the budget for the next fiscal year. And that's usually it. That's usually the decision that has to be made and that is made. That decision does need to be made tonight. That motion does need to happen. You have the resolution before you. The charter, the city charter, basically its constitution says you have to act on that at this meeting, the first meeting in June. So that action does have to happen. As you know, in your agenda packets, there's been a concept of an additional motion along with that. That is optional. It's not required, but it is something put out there for council to consider. And council could consider that as a separate motion after the budget is adopted, or if somebody wants to make a motion at some point to amend the required motion, which is to adopt the budget, then that amendment can add that part to the motion adopting the resolution. It would not be stated in the resolution itself, but it would become part of the motion adopting the resolution. I hope that addresses some of the options available to council for considering adoption of the budget this evening.
So just to clarify, that last piece you talked about is there could be a motion to adopt the budget, and before that is voted upon, there could be a second motion, potentially, regarding the additional item, that would then be voted on first. Yes. And whether that goes up or down, if it goes up, then it becomes part of the regular motion to adopt the budget. And if it does not go forward, then it does not.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes, so you would have the main motion to adopt the budget, and a possible amendment. You would vote on whether or not to amend that main motion to add that language. And if it passes, like the mayor said, then the main motion would have that amendment added to it, and you would vote on the main motion with that addition to it.
Okay.
If the motion to amend does not pass, then it would not be part of the main motion, and you would still vote on the main motion.
Okay. Mr. Aldred.
Just a point of clarification on if there is a vote on the main motion for the budget, and that fails, just a straight up vote which fails, that could come back later as a reconsidered vote, correct?
Yes, in fact, I would recommend council continue deliberating because you have to come to a decision on the budget. So at some point, yes, it would have to be reconsidered by charter.
Yes.
And I will if that has to take place, I will provide more assistance on how to make those motions if that becomes necessary.
Mayor, City Attorney, is this a simple majority vote or, right?
Yes, it is a majority vote of council. Roll call vote.
I have a comment.
Yes.
I'd like to.
Please.
So I just want to start off by saying I appreciate everyone's comments this evening. And it's really important that we listen to one another. It's really important that we not just listen, but listen to understand. That's how we have civil dialogue. That's how we learn. That's how we move forward. And as the mayor very clearly pointed out at the start, the problem we're trying to solve here is with regards, in order to avoid losing millions of dollars of federal funding, or at least the threat of that, we have removed line items from the city budget that are directly related to city operations that are related to DEI. And I believe it's necessary to make that change in order to preserve the city funding. So I support the budget as it's written. But I do hear the concern that that's going to affect how things are functioning in the city, how the operations of the city, if there's no DEI function. I remember back in September of 2021, there was a study session for City Council, and a consultant came to the study session and described diversity, equity, and inclusion, gave an introduction to it, and outlining explanation of what it was, different terms, what it meant. why it may have benefit. And, you know, I think most people understand, and certainly in the modern workplace, we understand the benefit of diversity in terms of different people with different backgrounds and perspectives as being a benefit. But it was the definition of equity that actually got my attention. And the definition of equity that was brought to council was straight out of Merriam's dictionary. It was equity is fairness. That was the definition. And I think we've probably all heard different definitions of what equity means. But I don't think you'll get much resistance out of the fact that every individual should be treated with fairness, what's fair, what's just, what's right, what's equitable. That, I don't think there's much opposition to that. And on top of that, we have a legal framework, extensive legal framework of anti-discrimination laws protecting individuals with federal and state. So on top of the state and federal laws, we also have this moral obligation. I believe it's right to have fairness in city operations and in the way we do our business. So the question is, how does this fairness, how do we apply what is right? How do we do what's right and just and fair in the context of city operations? How do we do that? And from what I've seen, in my view, is that in the context of HR, in the context of how fairness and the law is applied to human resources, and how that's applied to hiring practices, I think that's best understood and implemented by HR professionals, just like I believe fairness and how the fairness and law is implemented for law enforcement is best implemented by those responsible for law enforcement. So in the context of ongoing community policing, community engagement, training in fair and impartial policing, those in the police department, those in law enforcement understand how best to do that as opposed to someone alongside. How accessibility is necessary, and it was great to have Joshua here this evening. How accessibility is necessary for public meetings and elections, I believe, is best handled by the city clerk's office because they understand the law, what's required in terms of ADA, and so on. So regardless of how well-intentioned, I don't believe the city organization actually needs a separate DEI function in order to do what is right and to do what is according to the law. And again, let me just say that again. I believe we should do what is right. I believe we should do what is fair by every individual, not only city staff, but also residents. Clearly here we're talking about city organization, but I believe we should do what's right, fair, and just, not because of differences, but regardless of them. And so I believe, I actually encourage city staff and I encourage residents to be encouraged to speak up. If there are issues, if there are specific incidents, if things occur, I would encourage HR director to make sure that there are processes in place with regards to feedback and ongoing engagement surveys, etc., to make sure employees are feeling comfortable, make sure that they know their place and how they're treated in the workplace is fair and just. And similarly, residents to do the same. I believe residents should speak up if there are things that are not fair, just, right in the city, and come to council if you don't feel you're being heard. So in that way, I believe we should move forward with the budget, and I would be willing to make a motion to do that, to see where the votes are, if there's a second.
I do not hear a second, so.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear the.
I will
you
make a
didn't read it.
motion.
He has
I
to
will
read
make a
it.
motion. I will make a motion to adopt the budget, to move to approve, and we can discuss afterwards, of course, after the motion. So I move to approve Budget Resolution 2526, adopting the financial year 25-26 city budget and 2025 city property tax millage rates as presented.
Make the second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there a motion for the amendment?
I'd like to call the question.
Okay, well, we can
can
have
discuss-
discussion.
discussion,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I don't hear a motion for the amendment, so that Fails. So is there other discussion? I see Ms. Bolaware, I see Ms. Nall, I see Ms., okay, I see all the way down the line. So Ms. Bolaware, would you like to go first, please?
You know, tonight, we're considering eliminating the DEI director and the budget associated with that position and transferring some of those budgeted dollars to upgrade an analyst in HR to a senior analyst and backfilling the analyst position. How did we get here? We live in the most diverse city in Oakland County, 85,000 strong, who speak more than 60 languages. Just last Friday, I participated in a branding and visioning exercise along with other Farmington Hills residents. And one of the questions that both the branding and the visioning exercise asked was, what do you like most about Farmington Hills? The overwhelming answer was diversity. I've been on council now for almost 6 years. I fought along with Vicki Barnett, Michael Bridges, and other council members to bring a DEI initiative to Farmington Hills. Why? To make certain we bring different perspectives to our community process, to make certain our community members can actively contribute to community conversations without fear or feeling out of place, to make certain our surveys, our event signups, our cultural and senior programming take into account all of our community member needs. DEI doesn't give any special treatment to individuals from marginalized groups. It only acknowledges their presence, contributions, efforts, and unique challenges, be it hearing impaired, those who are blind or sight challenged, physically challenged, or those who are neurodivergent. DEI has been politicized as a code word in which some marginalized individuals are given special treatment, and as a result, the minority feel reverse discrimination. I state categorically that is not true. A few months ago, from this same seat, I spoke about what DEI is and what it's not. And it's illegal to discriminate based on race, gender, or sexual orientation, both under Michigan and federal laws. When we started our DEI initiative in 2021, 67% of our employees were male, 33% female. People of color, that's Black, Hispanic, Asian, Pacific Rim, Native American, 11% of the workforce were people of color. Out of the total 106 total leaders, 90% were white, and 20% of those 106 leaders were women. Since our implementation, we have made some progress. I think Mr. Conliffe spoke about it a few seconds ago. If you look to my right, you will see Karen Mondoro, our assistant manager. Karen is the first woman assistant manager since the city was formed more than 50 years ago. Before I go further, let me reiterate, it is not the intent of DEI to terminate any current city employee for some quota goal. That is illegal. Again, from this same seat, I stated in open and full view, I spoke about that our focus is to make certain that our hiring pool is open to every qualified individual so that we can hire the best skilled candidate. I also said that if anyone did not agree with that approach, they should reconsider their employment here. I will not be voting yes on this budget in its current form with the removal of the DEI allocation. And here are the reasons why I am not voting for it. I don't think we did our due diligence. Council members were not informed in advance of the contents of the April 24th, 2025 letter from the Secretary of Transportation until the actual budget meeting. It gave council no time to review, investigate, or reflect. And upon receipt of this general memo, no one from the city or the council reached out to our state or federal officials prior to making the recommendation to eliminate the budget or to seek advice. I know that because I called all of them to get their opinion about this matter and to give us some advice on how to proceed. Now, the letter that we received on the day of the budget meeting stated that the Department of Transportation is prohibited from discriminating based on race, color, national origin, religion, or in any of its programs or activities. Any discriminating actions and policies or practices of any entity that receives DOT funds may be in violation of federal law. But check this. The term DEI was not mentioned as to what it is. There was no definition or conclusion on what DEI is or how it violates federal law. Nothing in that document or that memo said anything about what it is and how, based upon the law, it is discriminatory. If we continue with our DEI initiative, they say we may lose our transportation dollars. Interestingly enough, in that same letter, it addressed the possibility of losing funding if we do not cooperate with ICE, Immigration Services, or Homeland Security. In addition, as any federal financial assistance may be lost if we do not ensure that our subcontractors or service providers are not U.S. citizens and do not employ illegal aliens, whatever that means, but I think they're talking about undocumented immigrants. Oakland County, who receives much more transportation dollars than we do, and they have a DEI director, they will not be addressing this memo in any way. Business as usual in Oakland County. Neither will any other city that has a DEI director. Instead, those entities will have or will be changing the name of their program or ignoring it completely. Our DEI director was provided a letter of termination prior to any official vote from council. I'll read that again. Our DEI director was provided a letter of termination prior to any official vote from council. Now, I've heard that we will be continuing the work by folding it into various departments to be overseen by the city manager's office and HR. If we're going to do the work, why terminate our DEI director, who reports directly to our city manager? As the gentleman said earlier, HR's role is one of compliance. The purpose of DEI is to challenge everything within the organization. If you fold DEI into HR, one is going to be sacrificed because they're at odds with one another. I can tell you this. I recognize the importance of losing $24 million and being put in this untenable position. Lord knows we can definitely use those funds. However, I will not be bullied or held at ransom or intimidated from a general memo that is not based on any science, any citation, case law, or statutory authority. It does not even define what is meant by DEI. Just this afternoon, I heard from Haley Stevens' offices that they have been unable to obtain any information on the memo as they have no direct line into the White House. I believe in the Constitution. I kind of carry one, have one at home, carry it all the time. And I'm willing to protect it, even if it means being jailed or losing my seat on this council. Just this afternoon, before leaving for our study session meeting, I heard that a federal judge in California had blocked the Trump administration from enforcing anti-diversity and anti-transgender executive orders and grant funding requirements. We should not be rushing our decision to eliminate our program. While in such study session, I received another text message from Haley Stevens' office. And this is what it said. 20 states, including Michigan, have sued the Trump administration over this letter. The suit was filed in mid-May, so there hasn't been any progress since then. As far as we can tell, and that was before this directive, this new information came out about the California Appeals Court that had overturned that decision. She says, as far as they can tell, the only Department of Transportation grants canceled so far were $54 million to 7 universities conducting research on what the administration called transportation DEI and green new scam initiatives. Universities have obviously been a target for the administration on this staff. And they go further to say that the administration has been pushing the envelope on funding revocations, even if they're ultimately overturned by the courts. We have already seen funding and grant pauses at the Department of Education and the National Institute of Health overturned by lower courts. They expect that this DO funding initiative will also follow a similar path. I would say, I would support changing the name of our initiative, like other cities have done in the state, to another word, something that's not politically loaded, something that we can define, and we would go from there. But as it's currently written and what our budget reflects, I am not in support of eliminating our funding for our DEI program and director. I will be voting no based on that provision and that provision only. I am comfortable with the rest of the budget. We spent several hours, 2 days, several hours, weeks going over it in our own private purview of what was there. And I'm comfortable with that, but I am not comfortable with this portion of the budget, and I will be voting no on it.
Thank you. Ms. Knoll?
Sure, so, yeah, I will support this budget tonight due to risk I'm not willing to take that risk of losing federal funds to fund our road programs, our road reconstruction programs, and I certainly don't want to raise taxes on the residents to replace that funding. Also, as the mayor mentioned, we have had guidance from our attorneys on this resolution. They reviewed it and provided the guidance. So we are not, this is not council saying that we're in violation of this executive order. This is coming from review of labor attorneys. Additionally, as the mayor mentioned too, I don't want to have our city employees have to perjure themselves due to trying to take federal funding when we're in violation of an executive order. So for that reason, I will support the budget. But I do want to say what I support. And I do support expanding outreach to open positions in the city so that we can encourage a broad, diverse pool of applicants to apply for positions. We need people to apply. You can't hire and have a diverse workforce if they don't apply. So the outreach is extremely important, and I support that and expanding that. And this is typically done through an HR and talent acquisition department at most companies. I also support training for our talent acquisition and all department heads who are involved in the hiring process, whether that be HR or whether it be another department head who participates in the interview. I support training for them to assure they're asking the appropriate hiring questions, to make sure that they're not biased questions and are in compliance with the law, and so that they can hire the best qualified candidate who can work well with existing team members to ensure we bring diversity, more diversity into the city, because I think that helps bring new ideas and innovation and can help us carry out our mission of our departments to operate effectively and efficiently, thus providing the best value for the taxpayers. I also support training all of the city employees on the importance of treating colleagues as well as residents, our taxpayers, and businesses, they're taxpayers as well, treating them with respect and professionalism and treating them fairly. I also support training city employees on the importance of listening, and not just listening, but understanding and engaging fellow colleagues in conversations and decision-making so that we have a workforce that is welcoming, inclusive, and all employees feel valued and feel they are making contributions to the workplace. Quite honestly, these are characteristics of a good workplace environment, whether it be here at the city or in any other business. And I believe those qualities help make for a successful business, or in this case, a successfully run city. These actions need to be embraced by the department heads, but I believe they should be led by the HR department that has a direct responsibility for recruiting, hiring, and training. They are accountable for the people they hire and for the training that they provide. It's in their goals, and they are evaluated on it. I think many of us here tonight aspire to the same goals. We want a qualified, diverse employee workforce that treats all colleagues and taxpayers fairly, with respect and professionalism. But as I mentioned, I believe that this can be led by a qualified HR department, our wonderful HR director sitting right over there, and her staff, her qualified HR staff that has this responsibility. And they know employment law, they know what is legal, and they know how to make these decisions. I believe that our HR director is committed to these goals, and I believe she is well qualified to carry these out with her team. So for that reason, I will support the budget tonight. And I believe that it will be of benefit to our employees and to the taxpayers, not only to not lose federal funding potentially, but also to carry out the goals of a diverse, qualified, engaged, inclusive workforce.
Mr. Bridges?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate my council members' comments tonight. First thing is that there was no need to move on this issue regarding the Department of Transportation. There was no need for that at all. The urgency wasn't there at all. There was no immediate loss of federal funds at all. These were all based on speculation. And when I first heard about this meeting on April, a couple weeks ago, I asked our city attorney to do a review of court actions on executive order on DEI programs across the country. And his memo to council was that the constitutionality nor the legality of the executive order regarding DEI is not determined at all. And he's our city attorney, and I trust his advice. So the city moved prematurely too quickly, jumped the gun on this issue. So it goes back to the point, do we really want to value DEI in Farmington Hills? I've been on this council for 17 years. And I walked in this city 17 years ago. There was no person of color, very little in this building at all, at all. You heard from Daryl Contliff earlier regarding his glee about seeing a person of color in the city, working in City Hall. This city has not been a welcoming community of people of color for many years. Has not. Has not. And that was, to back up a little bit, we had a consultant following the targeting issue in Farmington Hills, the police targeting issue. You probably heard about that, remember that, recall that. And which basically, we had shooting targets in the police shooting range of African-American males up all day. That was clearly offensive, PR disaster. And we hired Miller Canfield, a prominent law firm, to take a look at this particular issue. Although it was legal that we used these targets, but it was poor taste. And they mentioned this issue about indifference. Indifference. And that's what I think Farmington Hills had a history of being indifferent in regards to the of diversity, equity, and inclusion for a long time. Now, we've made significant we've made some good progress over the last several years. And because of the increased focus regarding incidents that occurred in Farmington Hills that propelled the city to do the right thing in regards to diversity, equity, and inclusion, we are making progress on our HR, our workforce representation, but we have a long ways to go, a long ways to go. We're making progress. We still have bias within our police department in regards to the perception. Miller Canfield reported out in their study that there was a perception within the Black community and that the police department was somewhat biased toward them regarding traffic stops. We're working on that. We do have implicit bias training within our police department. And but right now, today, when you look at the traffic stops in Farmington Hills, African-American versus white citizens in our community, we're about 18% of the population, but we receive about 47% of the tickets in Farmington Hills today. So you're telling me that that's the reason why DEI is necessary, we need it, we need to continue the efforts in order to address this perception within the Black community, and some from our white citizens too, that the police department is seen to be somewhat biased to African-American motorists. So we look at also our workforce has changed. We've gotten a better workforce in regards to that, but we have departments in Farmington Hills for a long time didn't have a person of color in it 2 years ago. A year ago, 2 years ago. You know, so now we've seen progress there as well. But the issue, Darlene King, she was our consultant that we hired to do a review of our culture in Farmington Hills. And she reported out cultural deficits in regards to acceptance of diversity within City Hall and departments in Farmington Hills. She went through, established a comprehensive program to help bring a cultural awareness regarding and raise the competency about DEI and diversity, equity, inclusion in this city. And we've seen some progress in our city in regards to that. But again, we jumped the gun on this letter. There was no urgency to act on this letter at all. I don't believe that the federal funds were in imminent danger at all. And I think that we jumped the gun. So I am not going to vote for the budget tonight in its current form. This is the first time in my 17 years on council that I have not supported a budget. We have a well-run city in Farmington Hills. We have great city services. We have a very good police department in regards to public safety ratings, and good quality of life. And I supported the budget, but I cannot do it support the budget tonight based on the fact that we made a error in regards to folding DEI into HR. All the evidence indicate DEI is the wrong place to be in HR. HR is for hiring people, firing people, disciplinary actions, onboarding, complying with state and federal laws, compliance. DEI is about culture. And when I just talked to you about the history of Farmington Hill, we have a cultural problem. And it's getting better, no question about that, but that's what DEI was working on. And so I cannot support the budget resolution tonight based on this role of DEI within HR. I think it's not the right decision for the city. And I believe that we acted too prematurely, and that we should wait to see what the courts does decide. And I don't see how DEI general fund dollars impact transportation at all. I don't see that at all. I mean, I just don't see the connection at all. And I think that we acted prematurely, and we need to recognize that DEI is necessary in this community, in this city, for us to move forward. We have a great community in Farmington Hills, but we can be even greater if we would get the DEI thing correct in our community. Thank you.
Well, this is my 20th budget, so this is the first time a budget has ever been controversial at all, as far as I can remember. A lot of great comments were made so far tonight, and I agree with a lot of the comments on actually both sides. This is another excellent budget. It does a lot of good things. One of my favorites is the fact that we are adding another 4 firefighters, and that makes our department able to provide 24-hour coverage to every fire station in the city with licensed paramedics. That's very important to me, and I think it should be very important to the community. I've worked in my field now for almost 40 years, working as a neuropsychologist and board-certified rehabilitation psychologist. And there's only 200 board-certified rehabilitation psychologists in this country. So I'm very familiar with people who are disabled as well and disability rights. And I see the difficulties that they have getting employment, maintaining employment, and the challenges that they face. So I have many concerns that way as well. So I have concerns about how this process was done, how fast things happened, that I'm not comfortable with necessarily. But I know the budget has to be approved tonight in some form. So I'm very torn on this budget because of those reasons. I think I agree with, again, comments made by Ms. Boulware about the challenges of putting DEI into HR. I'm not sure that's the best fit. But we do have that memo hanging over our heads that I don't necessarily think is a direct imminent threat to us either, because I don't think there's case law to back it up, and I don't think there will be case law to back it up. I don't think we're putting any funds at risk if we keep something such as DEI in its original form. But I also don't want to put the $23 million at risk either, because sometimes things happen that we can't predict. So I'm just going to end with those are my concerns both ways. I hope that we can settle on a good budget tonight and put this issue to bed. Thank you.
I'm going to support the budget. I believe the right decisions were made. We received the right advice from our city attorney. The mayor did an excellent job pointing out the problems we have and the decisions had to be made. I will state that, I've lived in this city for 40 years. I was your police chief for 23 years. I started with the Detroit Police Department in 1962. I took over the narcotic division in 1974. I made it the most diverse division in the entire Detroit Police Department, at which time there was over 6,000 police officers there. I had more female officers, more black officers than any other division or even precinct. I had 200 people working narcotics. So I believe in diversity. I came to Farmington Hills in 2008, and I made it very diverse in the police department. Contrary to some of the remarks that were made tonight, this is not a racist city, not a racist city department as far as any department within the city. And it's been that way for decades. Now, I've lived here for 40 years, as I said. And for people to outlash and say that, well, it's wrong, diversity is a priority, and it will continue to be a priority with the city council and with the city administration. But the decision was made, and I support that decision. I just want to say that I support the work that's being done by the city's HR department. The department mandates is to be followed legally hiring practices, ensure the qualifications for each position are met, and that the candidates will work well with each department team. And Human Resources will continue to do that while acknowledging that the pool of city employees should reflect the diversity of the people who live in Farmington Hills. So while I don't support changing the budget, I do support training for city employees to ensure they and the residents of the city are treated with professionalism and respect. And when we talk about DEI again, we don't know what's going to happen at the federal level, what's going to come out of that. And that's why I think the city, and as I said, I know the city made the right decision as far as what we did. And if this is revisited at a later time, after there's the effect of the future federal decisions come out, then we can amend our actions. But at this time, I totally support the budget and on hand. Thank you.
I have a couple more comments based on the conversation this evening. Joshua, thank you for coming out tonight. You and I have been chatting for a while. One of the things we talked about before this meeting was in our study session with what's going to be going on in our parks. And something we specifically talked about was accessibility with bathrooms in our parks. And so we're hearing the message that you're advocating, and we're carrying it forward. I want to push back a little bit on this whole what's the role of HR, and I know it's getting late and we don't want an HR lesson tonight, but here's a reality is I teach a strategic HR class to master's level students at Wayne State, and I've been teaching this class for 8 years now. My students study what are best practices based on the 100 best places to work in the US. They always talk about DEI work happening within the HR function. I may have retired from GM 9 years ago, but for the decade prior to that, my main job was culture, company culture, from within the HR department. it can be done. And I do believe that our team has the skills to be able to continue the work on culture. But where it needs to be driven is from this council through our city manager. Now, we've challenged the city manager to help us with how do we walk from DEI as it is today to DEI, how it will be after the 1st of July when a budget goes into place, assuming this budget passes. And what I'm very encouraged by is that there's an incredibly broad allocation of these responsibilities throughout the entirety of the organization. For instance, in economic development, there's a role to make sure that we are seeking diverse businesses, meaning all businesses, that we are providing support to businesses. And this really leverages a program that Mr. Bridges began here many years ago on how to do business with Farmington Hills. We have Department of Public Works looking at accessibility issues. To what extent are our streets and sidewalks accessible? We have special services looking at the parks, which is part of their jurisdiction, as well as what's going to happen to continue to ensure culturally broad programming. And as I shared earlier, it'll be our job as council to make sure there are specific measurables, KPIs, I guess they call them, key performance indicators, that our staff from the city manager on down will be measured on. You know, it's not just the Department of Transportation letter. We also heard from HUD that said if you want to have your programming, and that's why I talked about Meals on Wheels and food for seniors, housing for low income, housing support for low income, that's where our employees are asked to sign that letter under penalty of perjury. That was not in the DOT letter. I understand from the clerk that we've received a similar letter about getting election provision, election grants, is that correct?
Correct.
Again, needing to sign off under penalty of perjury that we are in compliance with all executive orders. Now, is the issuance of an executive order law? No, it's not. But this is right now the parameters that we need to work under. And that is why I offered the amendment as a show of good faith that as a city, we are going to continue to push this issue. And whether that gets picked up or doesn't get picked up, that's up to council. I don't make motions. But I think that is pretty much our discussion on this. So I'm going to ask one more time, is there a motion for the amendment?
I'd like to call a motion on the main budget.
The main budget? Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Council members Dwyer,
Yes. Yes.
Knoll,
Yes.
Aldred,
Yes.
Bolaware,
No.
Bridges,
No.
Bruce,
No.
Mayor Rich.
No. And we are going to take a recess. come back.
Okay.
Okay, so motion failed, and we are required to pass a budget tonight. Council, what's your pleasure? Yes, Dr. Bruce.
I would move that I would make a motion to reconsider item number 7, public hearing consideration of adoption of the 2025-2026 fiscal year budget and 2025 property tax millage rate, CMR 62586.
Okay, there is a motion, is there support?
We may reconsider. Bring it back. Yeah, I support that. Bring it back.
Okay, so there is a motion on the table with support. I will ask again, is there a motion for the amendment?
Mayor?
Yes.
It would be a vote on the motion.
Oh,
to
I'm sorry, I beg
reconsider
your
first.
pardon. Thank you.
Yes. Mhm.
All right, we have a motion to reconsider and support. Is there discussion? Yes, Ms. Bolaware.
Yes. You know, listening to all the council members, you know, we're not that far apart. We do have certain core values that we all agree to. And I would suggest that like every other entity or the county, that we just change the name of the program to something else. That would be my recommendation.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I would support that change, that we change the name of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but right now, what we have before us
Okay.
is the motion to adopt the budget.
Well, actually, the reconsideration is what's
Reconsideration,
before
I
us.
beg your pardon.
With
Reconsideration.
the amendment.
No, just a reconsideration.
Bring it back on the table.
To bring it back to the
Bring it
table.
back on the
That's what's
table.
before us.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so
This is just to bring it back?
Yeah.
bring it back.
Discussion.
Okay, so council, if we vote yes, then that only means that we are bringing it back for further conversation.
Yes, that agenda item will be brought back onto the table for further discussion and
Okay.
consideration. At that time, I would highly recommend approving this motion. I don't rarely do that, but you have to approve a budget this evening.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. This is a roll call vote, or is it a regular vote?
It's a regular vote.
Okay, all those in favor of bringing this back for reconsideration, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, passes. We are now reconsidering. What you got, folks? Yes, Ms. Knoll.
Okay. I move to approve the budget resolution 2526, adopting the fiscal year 2025-26 city budget and 2025 city property tax millage rates as presented, and further resolved that in the event the presidential executive orders and other directives related to DE&I programs, policies, and initiatives and other items with potential budget impact are ultimately found with finality to be unconstitutional or otherwise enforceable through the ultimate decision or decisions of the United States Supreme Court, City Council will hold a study session meeting to revisit the human resources budget and employee development functionality and look at related budget items.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there support? We have a motion. Is
Support.
there, okay, we have a motion and support. Is there any further conversation on this? This is a regular vote, or sorry, this is a roll call vote.
Council members Knoll,
Yes.
Aldred,
Yes.
Bolaware,
No.
Bridges,
No.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dwyer,
No.
Mayor Rich.
Yes. Motion carries. This takes us then to item 8, another public hearing, in consideration of amendment to Planned Unit Development 2, 2021, including revised site plan 59-5-2022, located at 27,400 12 Mile Road. Good evening.
Good evening. Charmaine Kettler-Schmaltz, Director of Planning and Community Development, here to introduce the revisions to the amended PUD Plan 2021, including the revised Site Plan 59-5-2022. You will remember this has been before you not that long ago. March 3rd was the last time that we looked at this plan. And at that time, we had the modification to the access points. The previous plan had 2 access points to Inkster Road in addition to the emergency access to 12 Mile. The plan approved that evening indicated the elimination of that second drive to the north along Inkster Road. This plan is coming back to you this evening with an additional unit in the place where that driveway had been eliminated. So we're looking at a modification to have 76 site-built units instead of 75, in addition to the 4 individual lots along 12 Mile. That is the only change to the plan. And I did want to let the council know the order of events this evening. We did, due to the simplicity of the project, let our planning consultant move along. If you have questions, I will handle that myself. We do have the proponent here this evening to answer any questions that you might have for them from Robertson Brothers. And then once they've done their presentation, opening of a public hearing would be appropriate before it comes back to council for determination. I will be here to answer any of the questions that you might have. As I mentioned, this plan has been before you fairly recent.
Okay, before we go to the public hearing, any comments, or before we go to the presentation? No. Presentation?
Jim?
Good evening.
Good evening. Jack Flynn with Robertson Homes, 6905 Telegraph Road. With me tonight is Jim Clark, our CEO, and we're back again with the project that you've seen many times. And Tim Walkern is usually in my place doing this presentation, but he could not make it tonight, so happy to be in front of you. So we're seeking approval for an additional detached condo where there was previously a road accessing Inkster. It was the northern access off Inkster. Other than that, this plan remains the same. There's nothing different. So I do have a presentation that I'm happy to run through, and if you guys don't want to go through that, I'd be more than understanding. Okay, so this is the third amendment to the PUD. And we were last here to remove the access street, which was approved by this council on March 3rd. This is the exact same thing you've approved besides the additional unit. This plan has been vetted many times. You've seen it countless times, and we hope you're happy with how it's progressed. We would have addressed this earlier had DTE given us the information that the pole had ITC equipment on it, meaning that it's very expensive to move, several $100,000. So that was the main driver behind removing that access point. We also did not need that access with the emergency access off 12 Mile to the south. So again, this is a very straightforward request that we just want to add this additional unit, and we believe this is a real win for the community and for everyone all around. So like we've said in the past, this product is attractive for residents that want to downsize in your community, and I think we've heard that more so tonight as well. This just provides another opportunity for residents to stay in the community and supports the city's goal of population retention. It's one more opportunity for a family to move into a couple's downsizing home. It's one more home to produce tax revenue. It's one more house contributing to the local economy. So this is exactly what people in your community are looking for. And I think, again, this request is very simple, nothing besides the unit. If we would have originally proposed this in our plan, I don't see that anyone would have had issue with this unit or have pointed it out. But that's all I have for you tonight, and I'm here if you have any questions.
Okay. With that, I'm going to open the public hearing. I have no cards, so at this moment, I will declare the public hearing closed. Council, Mr. Bridges.
I have a motion, Madam Mayor.
Please.
Resolved that the application to amend PUD Plan 2021, including revised site plan 59-5-2022, both stated March 14, 2025, as revised, submitted by Robertson Brothers Homes are approved, subject to the following conditions. Number one, all outstanding issues identified in Giffords Webster's April 9, 2025 review review shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of the city planner. All outstanding issues identified in the city engineer's February 26, 2025, and April 10, 2025, inter-office correspondence shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of the city engineer. And three, all outstanding issues identified by the fire marshal, April 8, 2025, inter-office correspondence shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of the fire marshal.
Support?
Okay, we have a motion and support. Discussion? Hearing none, let's call the question. This is a regular vote.
Mayor, I add a couple more comments.
I beg your pardon, sir.
It says, and further resolve that the city attorney prepare the appropriate PUD agreement stipulating the final PUD approval conditions and authorizing the identified zoning deviation for city council consideration and final approval.
That's such a good idea. Okay, motion, support, no further discussion. Regular vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Okay. Thank you. When are we going to get a shovel in the ground? Let's go. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Item 9, unfinished business, consideration of enactment of ordinance C-4-2025, amending the Farmington Hills Code of Ordinances regarding smoking lounges. Yes, good evening.
Mayor and Council, good evening. So this is the second reading of the ordinance. It was introduced at your May 12th meeting. So you have any questions or?
Okay. I do not see any questions. Anyone would like to make a motion?
Yes.
Please do.
I would move the enactment of ordinance C-4-2025, amending the Farmington Hills Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8 Business Licensing, Article 2 Smoking Lounges, Division 3 Operations, Section 863, Standards of Conduct and Special Permits to allow the consumption of alcoholic beverages in smoking lounges, and summary for publication. And I think this helps bring us back or into the 21st century with our ordinances and expand our business development. Love it, and I can't wait to see the positive effects of it. So that's my motion.
Okay. And most of that goes in the record. Okay. Is there support? Support. We have motion and support. This is a roll call vote.
Council members Aldred?
Yes.
Bolaware? Yes. Bridges?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
Dwyer?
Yes.
Noel? Yes. Mayor Rich?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 10, and now we're on new business. Consideration of approval of a request from AEA-JR Holdings LLC for a new Class C quota liquor license to be used at a familiar address, 28970 Orchard Lake Road.
Good evening again.
Hello again.
Hello. So before you this evening is a request for a new Class C quota liquor license from Mr. Andrew Ansara. The application packet has been reviewed by all appropriate departments. There have been no objections, with the understanding that the proponent is to follow the city's reoccupancy permit process. And Mr. Ansara is here if you want to step up for any questions that council may have.
Good evening, Mr. Ansara. Thank you for staying with us tonight.
Hi, how are you?
All right, council, any questions? Yes.
Yes. Good evening. Thank you for waiting for so long. If you are approved tonight, when do you think you might be able to open up?
I would like to open up tomorrow, if I could. But realistically, it should be open. It depends on the state. When the liquor license goes to the state, if it comes fast enough, but I get my approval tonight, I sign my lease tomorrow, we start construction the next day.
And you have considerable experience, correct, in the
Oh, yes,
restaurant
I do.
industry, including with liquor licenses?
Yes, I do. I am part of 23 liquor license.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, my family has all of the Red Robins in Michigan and Northwest Ohio. We have the Tubuli restaurant here in Farmington Hills.
Yep.
My nephews have the Twin Peaks. They have the Daily Jam. We used to have the Portofino down in Wyandotte.
Great place.
But,
Great place. Yeah.
we sold it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, I have extreme experience. And before that, we were in big boy restaurants. And before the enactment of the no smoking laws that came in effect, I was the first one of the big boys to eliminate the smoking in my restaurants before anybody else. And it got a lot of backlash and everything from the smokers and everything like that. But in my place that I'm going to have, it's only going to be cigars. No cigarettes, no hookahs, no vapes, none of that. And nobody under the age of 21 will step foot in the place. And it'll be regulated to the T, according to the law.
Thank you. Mr. Bridges?
Location in the Orchard Lake.
It's going to be on Orchard Lake between 12 and 13.
What building's there right now? What's there right now?
There was an old hookah place
Is that near
that
FedEx?
had issues, from what I understood.
That near FedEx?
I didn't hear.
FedEx Kinko store, or where's it located at?
No, it's, you know, the Ram Jeweler,
Ram Jeweler?
Kevin
Yes.
Jeweler,
Gotcha.
in between Junie Meats. It's all in the same
All right.
strip.
Do you have any Maga noodles there? Maga noodles.
I have better than Macanudo.
What about old fashions?
Oh, yeah,
right,
oh, yeah.
right.
Old fashioned, definite old fashions, yes.
Okay.
And anything you want, really, we'll get it for you.
All right, gotcha.
And I'm gonna have cigar lockers where people will rent them from me, and I will sell them cigars at a discount and have specials and things like that, and they will load up their lockers with my cigars. And I'm gonna have 2 golf simulators as well. And today, I had a position on hole number 8 for the chamber outing, and I had raised $540 for the chamber.
You know, Mr. Ansara, you're not only a wonderful business owner with an investor in our city, but you're a resident as well.
Yes, I am.
We very much appreciate it.
23 years.
Sure. So with that, how about we call the question?
We need a motion.
Oh, sorry, we don't have a motion yet? Okay. We need a motion.
Oh, and we'd love to see ladies inside there, too.
Yes, Ms. Null.
I'll make a motion to approve the request from AEAJR Holdings LLC for a new Class C quota liquor license to be used at 28970 Orchard Lake Road.
Support.
Motion and support. This is a roll call vote.
Yes. Council members Bolaware,
Yes.
Bridges,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dwyer,
Yes.
Knoll,
Yes.
Aldred,
Yes.
and Mayor Rich.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ansara.
Thank you very much. By the way, it's going to be called the Chairman's Club.
Love it.
Really?
Like it.
Okay.
Look forward to checking it out.
Good luck.
What about the construction on Orchard Lake? When's that going to impact him?
It's only for a week.
Oh, it's only for a week?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Great addition to Farmington.
Okay,
That's a good-
item 11,
Well done.
consideration of approval of appointments to various boards and commissions. Good night. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Item 11, who'd like to read it?
Shall I?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I'll have a crack.
Okay.
All right, so recommended appointments for Economic Development Corporation, Swaminathan Subramanin, length of term 6 years, term ending February 1st, 2031. Innovation, Energy and Environmental Sustainability Committee, Megan Kershaw, length of term 3 years, term ending February the 1st, 2028. Tracy Collins, length of term 3 years, also February 1st, 2028. And Kota Reddy Burla, length of term 3 years, term ending February 1st, 2028.
We have a motion, is there support?
Support.
Great, we have a motion and support. This is a regular vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Carries. Item 12, consideration of adoption of a resolution establishing water supply rates for the fiscal year 2025-2026. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Rich and City Council members. My name is Tammy Gushert. I'm one of the senior engineers with the Department of Public Services. Before you tonight's a resolution for the adoption of water rates for fiscal year 2025-2026. The water rate being presented tonight is the same rate which was proposed and discussed with City Council at the May 12th study session. So just as a recap, we are recommending an increase in the current rate from $52.60 to $56.35 per 1,000 cubic feet of water used. This equates to an increase of $6 per quarter for the minimum water bill customer and an increase of approximately $14.63 per quarter for the average residential water customer. We also like to know every year that our water tower continues to save the city rate customers money each year. It's estimated that the savings for the upcoming fiscal year will be approximately $3.3 million, with an overall savings of about $29 million since its original construction. So good news there. And with that, both staff from Oakland County WRC and the city are available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, we had this at study session, so look for a motion,
Okay.
please.
Yeah.
No?
Yes, I will make a motion. I also just want to say, just for any viewers that are still out there, is that these rate increases are basically pass-throughs. So, because we buy our water from GLEWA, and that goes to, well, actually it goes to the county, and then we buy it from that. So it's a pass-through. It's not us choosing to increase this rate. So yes, I will make a motion to consider the adoption of a resolution establishing a water supply rate for fiscal year 2025 and 2026. This is CMR 6-25-88.
We have motion and support. Any further discussion? Okay, that being said, this is a regular vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Takes us to item 13, consideration of adoption of a resolution establishing sewer rates.
So the sewer rates before you tonight were also presented and discussed with council at the May 12th study session. Tonight, we're recommending an increase in the current rate of $56.19 to $61.63 per 1,000 cubic feet of water used. Again, this equates to an increase of $8.71 per quarter for the minimum bill customer and an increase of $21.76 per quarter for the flat rate or sewer-only customers. And again, with that, staff from WRC and the city are available to answer questions.
Quick question.
Sure.
Sorry, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Why did the sewer rates go up so much? It went up by 56 to 61. Why is that?
So yes, it's going up from 56 per 1,000 cubic feet to 61, 63. A lot of that increase, or some of that increase, is due to Great Lakes Water Authority. So when they have increases in their rates, those, as Ms. Knoll indicated, is kind of a pass-through down to us. And we're also a member of the Evergreen Farmington Sanitary Drain District. So as those increases rise, that also increases our rates as well. And a lot of that could be contributed to, as far as Great Lakes Water Authority, they're doing additional improvements with, and then I know that there's a lot of increases for like chemical costs or things of that nature, so.
Compliance issues, that kind of EPA and all that kind of thing too, right? And is that EPA too? Darwin Water, is that EPA?
I'm sorry, EPA?
Yeah.
Nope, that would be different, so.
Sorry. All right, thanks a lot. We have a motion on the table, right?
No, you're welcome to make one.
I'll make a motion that we approve the adoption of resolution establishing sewer rates for fiscal year 2025-2026, CMR 62589.
Support. Motion and support. Okay. This is also a regular vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Carries. Thank you. Item 14, consideration of approval of a cost participation agreement with the Road Commission for Oakland County to fund the resurfacing of Orchard Lake Road from I-696 to 13 Mile Road. Good evening.
Good evening. Jacob Rushlow, Director of Public Services. This item before you is for the project including Orchard Lake Road from just south of the I-696 bridge up to 13 Mile Road, their resurfacing project. Anticipating construction to start here in July of this year. The overall cost is just shy of $4.5 million. $3.5 million of that comes from federal funding sources. This leaves a funding gap of about $1 million total, which will be shared equally between RCOC and the City of Farmington Hills, resulting in a responsibility to us, the city, of about $480,000. By utilizing our available tri-party funding, The city, RCOC, and the Oakland County General Government all contribute 1/3 of the cost respectively. So as a result, that brings our cost down, utilizing that funding mechanism to $159,803 is our share. So it's our recommendation that the city enters into this cost participation agreement with RCOC to fund the city's share for this project. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Question?
I have a question following up from a discussion earlier about closing Orchard Lake between 12 and 13. It was mentioned it was a week earlier. I think that's some preliminary drain work. This is resurfacing. It says it's starting in early July or late June. How long do you expect Orchard Lake Road to be closed when it's resurfaced?
Okay.
Well, yeah, resurfacing project, independent of the sewer project, will have a totally different schedule.
Yeah.
It's going to last throughout the duration of the entire construction season. As far as closures go of Orchard Lake Road, during the road project, I don't believe there's any full closures planned. We'll be working with them on the maintenance of traffic, and I know our traffic engineer will be involved with them.
Okay, so the road's going to be closed for the drainage work, but it's just going to be awkward with construction?
Yeah, and for what the city manager mentioned earlier, that full closure of Orchard Lake Road for a week, maybe 2 weeks tops, is directly related to a repair of the sanitary sewer that crosses the road. So they're going to do an open cut, dig down to that pipe, do a full replacement of the pipe ahead of the paving
Okay,
project.
the
So that's all
resurfacing,
done.
mostly it will be open?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
Are they going to prepare, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh.
I was just going to say, is the city planning on using Facebook, our electronic signs, whatever resources we have for communication to get the word out to the businesses and residents that, I mean, Orchard Lake gets so backed up when a lane is closed. I realize the whole street won't be closed, but even just one lane backs it up so bad.
Yeah, we'll, just like most of our projects, we'll continue to, as we get that information from the county, we'll relay it through the communications department to share out to the public of updates as they come. RCOC will have a webpage dedicated to the project. You can get updates as well. And if you subscribe to their social media, RCOC as well, they continually have updates through their social outlets.
The city manager and I had a number of discussions about that medium above 696. Would that be part of the project?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
At between 696 and 12 Mile is the medium there.
Oh, the raised concrete
Yeah.
section in the middle?
Will it include that?
So there will be some improvement there.
Some improvement. I think, well, we're not going to replace that, or, I mean, that's terrible.
They are putting the concrete back, that raised, so it's kind of like a curb with a little flat part in between, right? Like a raised median there. That is going to be put back into place. It's going to look a little bit different. We're having some improvements with lighting and some other things as well with the project. But the raised surface does need to be there really for traffic control. And it's to try and eliminate those left turns.
It's terrible, though. It will
coming across
It'll
there.
look a lot better, you saying, after this?
Yeah, what we've requested them to do is add a little bit of more aesthetic treatment to that, like a stamped colored concrete surface, something that looks a little bit nicer than just a plain gray concrete in the median. So
This is an off issue, but that signage that we are looking forward to, when's that going to take place? Signage down there at 696.
the interchange, the gateway signage, we are still working on that. We did get the clearance or the approval from MDOT on our permit which really means from MDOT's perspective is they have to then forward it to the Federal Highway Administration because it's a restricted access, highway. FHWA also has to approve that project, so we have not gotten FHWA clearance yet to start. But our contractor, as you know, you all through council had awarded that contract for the gateway sign. We're waiting for that FHWA clearance. As soon as we have that, we'll be ready to start working on the project.
Do you think it'll be delayed to next year or this year?
I honestly cannot say. As we know in recent discussions that you've all had too with the administration HWA and their workforce, and
I'm off topic.
I don't want to try and make any guess on when we might be getting that clearance from them.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
You recall 13 going north, how long that took? 13-mile road on Orchard Lake, right?
14.
That was what?
Road project?
A year and a half, the road project, yeah.
Yes.
How long did that take? I mean, that was a big
off the top of my head,
hardship
I
on the
don't know.
businesses. You had 3 businesses go out of business because of the roads. I would hate to see that happen between 12 and 13 on Orchard Lake Road. But it was terrible. Is that the same type of project that's going to go from 12 to 13, that went from 13 to
No,
14?
and I'll look back to Jim Cabrera here, the city engineer, and I know he's got the better historical knowledge than me on that previous project, and maybe can answer that
I
question
mean,
a little better than I can.
it was terrible for 2 years.
Sure. The one you're talking about was more of a reconstruction, total reconstruction. This is like Jacob had mentioned, this is a resurfacing, and I think it's under traffic control, so we will have traffic running through it, but it's not a reconstruction. It's a resurfacing,
Okay.
a rehabilitation. It's a little different animal, but certainly it is a project that's warranted.
Would you hope that this is going to be done by December?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And are we thinking that we'll be able to put some sort of a signage out or assist these businesses? Because this road being under construction is just, as the Mayor Pro Tem was saying, it's just going to hurt so many businesses.
Yeah, we can work with the county in that. I mean, like, businesses open during construction
There you
type
go.
signage.
Yep. And then, is there, Mr. Bridges talked about aesthetics. Is there anything that we're going to be doing to help aesthetically that will help improve the safety of that intersection, particularly for pedestrians?
There is a upcoming project independent of the road resurfacing at the 12-mile Orchard Lake intersection.
Right.
That will include some improvements for crossings. There was a traffic safety audit that was done for that intersection. So they will be taking the results of that audit and implementing some of those with the 12-mile road project in the upcoming year.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll be taking $3.5 million of federal funding for this. Is there a motion? Did we have the motion already?
I can move. I can make a motion.
Yeah, please.
I move that the City of Farmington Hills enter into a cost participation agreement for board project number 57541 with the Road Commission of Oakland County to address the cost-sharing responsibilities for the road resurfacing project on Orchard Lake Road between I-696 and 13 Mile Road. And further resolve, the city manager and city clerk be authorized to execute the contract on behalf of the city.
Motion, is there support? Support. We have motion and support. This is a regular vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. This takes us to public comment. We have 4 public comment cards. You're going to come up in this order, so please be prepared when it's your turn. PG, Robin White, Angie Smith, and Anita Wagner.
Finally, good evening to the council. I don't really know what to say about what I heard tonight, but I wanted to just say to some of the elected officials up there, sometimes these microphones don't work well, and when there's a lot of verbal ad-libbing going on, we cannot hear you out here. I was not aware of the fact that to speak at public hearings that you needed to fill out a blue form. I thought it was just for public comment, so I learned something new tonight. Well, we know that there's going to be campaigning, and this is campaign season. And I'm willing to teach anybody that's running for office where not to put your signs. There's one thing that I hate, is that you run this awesome campaign and you get all these campaign contributions and you pay all of these young people to work for you, and all of that's great, but you put your signs in areas where you absolutely know that they do not belong. So if there's anybody out there running for office and you want to find out where not to put your signs, I can tell you personally, or I can tell you right now, and I'll tell you right now. So when you're running for office, you don't put your signs in right-of-ways. At the corner where the light is, if it's on the street side of the sidewalk, that's considered the right-of-way. You put your signs on the opposite side of the sidewalk, closest to, say, where a person would live. Do not put your signs in a business lot without getting permission, because that business owner has the right to remove your signs and then.
Good evening again. I did hear about the sewage and the work on Orchard Lake. I highly recommend that you do not order food from Qdoba due to the fact that they have sewage backup. And about a month ago, they were closed for 3 days. I happened to go to Wingstop, and a customer left Qdoba to go to Wingstop to use the bathroom because the bathrooms are coming out into the restaurant area. And so that's something that, well, one, I know you all have dinner.
Carly?
Give her 3 minutes now.
Excuse me.
You get 3. Anita.
Get all your time.
Oh, okay. I'm Anita, a resident. My topic is the Caustic Center considerations before you have your January 23rd update at the Hawk. I had over an hour talk with a member of the Senior Advisory Council today. The council has visited all 37 senior centers in Oakland County. They know the pitfalls and the successes of cities' decisions with the senior centers. He mentioned the kitchen can provide renting out space, need sound systems, important to have storage space, a must. With a gym, you can change programming, make it multi-use. So please consult them. That would be free. They volunteer. The Caustic, it is one of the, I learned today, the larger center in Oakland County, close behind Rochester Hills Center, which is called the OPC Social and Activity Center. They have a gym, indoor walking, kitchen. The pool is old and the kitchen could be updated, but they are essential aspects of the Caustic. Do not dump them. So a list of what it provides is important to propose to the consultant in the consideration of their upcoming report on the 23rd. What would it cost to continue to modify the Caustic or a new building? Please consider the importance to the seniors of what they have grown to love and to use at the Caustic Center as you are considering what they have to offer. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and wrapping us up tonight, Joshua Taylor. Jacob, could you get him the microphone, please? Thank you.
I just wanted to keep this somewhat short. I want to thank each and every one of you for reconsidering and making the addendum for the DEI initiative. I understand each and every one of you value diversity, equity, and inclusion in this city, and I think that you guys made the right and a courageous choice tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us to our city attorney report.
Yes, you have my short report. I have nothing to add to it, thankfully. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, Farmington Hills. Our special session is going to be on June 23rd. It will be held at the Hawk at 5 p.m. Okay, and we'll be talking about the